We are live. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I've got with me right now the one and only Xander Skullion of Excess Gaming Podcast. Xander, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people where you're from, what you like, and why you're awesome.
All right. Well, my name's Xander. I'm from North Carolina. I enjoy walks on the park and finding arcade cabinets and having nice conversations. But hello, everyone. It's great to be on the show. It's great to be a guest on the podcast because, I host a podcast and I know everything that goes into it and all the trials and errors. Sometimes it feels good just to be on the show and just talk and not have to worry about, behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Oh man, it's interesting. Like the fact that both of us, like, we do the podcast series, like we both have our own podcast, and then trying to be like YouTubers and like reviewing games, like the process of going into reviewing games and setting up podcasts. Man, it's time consuming, especially
it really is.
Especially like when you're trying to think of like topics, like what kind of questions can I come up with it? And like I know we were talking about you like one of the things like you can be concerned with is like if your guest is going to be able to flow with you, like have the same energy, because I've had it too where like I've had people on and it's sometimes the energy is not there. I thankfully, like, a lot of my latest episodes have been really, really good, but you can always get a few people where it's like super still good.
Yeah, it's interesting as a host. Like, there's so much that goes into that position because you want to make the person feel comfortable and you want to talk about topics. And at the same time, though, it's like you're almost having a conversation in your mind of what you're going to be doing next. And, some people, podcasts is a totally different entity. Some people can get in front of the camera, make reviews and stuff like that. But when they're on a show that's live or they know they're out of their comfort zone, some people they naturally freeze up. So as a host, it's like your job to kind of get them to open up and just warm up a little bit. It's really interesting.
It really is. Like I've had some situations where I feel like I'm grasping at straws to get some people to talk, and I'm like, and it was. Yeah. I think it was more so like my first couple podcasts that I did, and I used to do a podcast with one of my former best friends, and it's like sometimes you're grasping at straws to just bring out that energy in people, and sometimes it's like people can have like one like case in point, like if we're having other YouTubers, I know we talked about that earlier. Like you can have some that just have the energy already, and then when you're trying to talk to them on a podcast, it's like, yeah. So it's like I ran into that for my first, I think, first 3 podcasts when I first started doing this. But yeah, it's interesting.
Oh yeah, indeed. But it's all fun. It's real fun.
Definitely. I'm enjoying it. I guess we can go ahead and get into some topics here. I've got some really interesting ones for you. So you know what? One of my first questions I'd like to ask you is, what got you into gaming, and also what made you become passionate about gaming?
Well, what got me into gaming was actually my grandpa. Like, my grandpa was a gamer. He had an Atari 2600. It was a Sears model, and I would always go to his house like on Thanksgiving or Christmas or wherever. He would babysit me or whatever, and we'd always play 2600. Mm-hmm. And then the Nintendo came out, and my sister's like 5 years older than me, and she knew about the Nintendo, and she was like, "Oh, we really need to get a Nintendo for Christmas." I didn't even know what it was. I was like, Nintendo. I watched the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and I watched Captain N, so I was kind of familiar with what Nintendo was. But he ended up getting that for us for Christmas, and I fell in love with it the first time I played it. Matter of fact, I mean, this answers the next question. I was passionate from gaming the moment I played Super Mario Brothers 3, so much so that we would have like those journal entries that kids would have like in first grade, and every entry would be about Nintendo, and it would be so much about Nintendo that I was actually banned from talking about Nintendo. Like they had a parent teacher conference, and they're like, he talks about Nintendo too much, because it would be like, they'd be like, what's your favorite food? And I'm like, my favorite food is pizza. I enjoy eating pizza while I'm playing Nintendo. So I mean, I think I was a very sick kid. I had like really bad allergies and asthma, so I didn't do a whole lot of sports. So I was always really good at video games. So it was just something I naturally progressed to, because it was something that I really enjoyed, and it was something I was really good at. I mean, I remember back in like '94 entering the World Game Championships at Blockbuster, and like playing like
those.
playing NBA Jam and Clay Fighters and stuff like that, and winning like free pizzas. And I'm not a real competitive gamer by any means, but that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, man, that's amazing. I actually remember, because I went through some similar things too when I was a kid. When it came to gaming, I remember in kindergarten and in first grade, like I was a very big Mega Man X and Double Dragon fan. And so whenever I would, like, how they have us do like little math tests and whatnot, whenever I would put my name, I would either write Billy Lee or Jimmy Lee, or I would put Mega Man X or Zero. And it was amazing, because we had a parent teacher conference with my mom and my dad, and they would be like, does your son not know his name? Because he always puts down someone else's name. They're like, it's just the phase. And that phase ran all the way until I was in 5th grade.
They think that you have like a personality disorder. You're like, oh, it's Zero. Zero is taking this test today.
And it's so funny. Like it got worse when I got into like Dragon Ball Z. Like before Toonami started airing it, we were watching like the VHS tapes that we can get down the street from the local Japanese store. And oh my God, man, one day I decided, you know what, I'm gonna be Kakarot, and I couldn't spell Kakarot. Oh man.
But I mean, you bring up a good point, man. Like anime back then, dude, it was such a niche thing. I always talk to my friends about anime, and I'm like, man, we have it so much easier now watching anime. Like I remember, growing up, and if you got into anime, it was just hard to get. Like I'd always go to like Suncoast, and we would buy VHSs, and the VHSs were just freaking expensive, dude. I'm talking like $40-50 for 3 OVAs. Yep. And if you were lucky enough, you had a way you could copy it on VHS, and you'd pass it around with your friends and stuff like that. Like now we have, Crunchyroll. You pay a certain fee a month, and you just watch anything you want. It's crazy.
And it's that just makes me think about how socially acceptable, like right now, not only anime but gaming is. Because I remember in the 90s, it's like that wasn't considered the cool thing to do. It wasn't socially acceptable. Like you were, you were considered like the nerd or the weird kid if you were into stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the 2000s come around, and Toonami and all the other stuff, and it just became popular. Like the same thing, like with wrestling.
It's like there was a time I remember that I would like, talk to a girl, and I'd invite her over, and I would be kind of like nervous that she'd come over and like come in my room and like see all these Nintendo games and then Mario statues and Mega Man figures, Power Ranger stuff. But now it's like one of those things, like that's the cool thing. Like if, a girl was to walk in the room, she's like, oh man, I love your, Zelda display. What kind of day and age do we live at where people are like, man, I love your Zelda display? That would have just that would have made you a laughing stock when I was in middle school. People were like, you're collecting a big cardboard box video game character? That's stupid,
Yep. Oh man. So there's a question in the comment section from Say Galatius. He wants to know if you played against Dr. Disrespect at Blockbuster.
No, I didn't. I actually, when I did the World Game Championship, I don't think I actually played against anyone. I wasn't that good. I wasn't that good that I got like that far. The only game that I remember, well, there was 3 games that I played. It was NBA Jam, Clay Fighters, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. And the one that I scored the most was like NBA Jam. I got like 90,000 points on it. I mean, bear in mind, I was like in first or second grade. You know, I ended up, I think I was like number 6 in the store. So I got like a free rental and a free pizza and a little pen and brochure. I still wish I had that brochure. I bet that's going on eBay right now.
Yeah.
They're like probably paying stupid amounts of money for that, but it was fun.
Man, I miss those days of going to Blockbuster. I feel like there are some games I rented so many times that I probably could have owned them like 10 times over, like Mega Man 2 and 3, Super 64. Oh god. Even too, I think Final Fight Guy, because I think that was the only way that you actually could get that copy of it, because it was a Blockbuster exclusive. So
yeah, and they cut them out of in the actual game. Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to ask you, so what got you into YouTube and podcasting?
Well, okay. I actually got something to show you. I actually started podcasting before I was doing YouTube, but I kind of did it at the same time. Okay. So I watched a lot of YouTube. The YouTuber that really inspired me to make YouTube videos was Happy Console Gamer. I know a lot of people say, you know, angry video game nerd and stuff like that, but I always thought angry video game nerd was entertaining, but that never made me be like, oh, I want to start doing this, you know, because I was never really that pissed off at games anyway. But and I remember I was kind of salty when he did that Castlevania 2 review. I'm like, Castlevania 2 is good, damn it. But
it was freaking awesome.
I remember watching it and watching, you know, Happy Console Gamer, and he talked about his memories and nostalgia, and I'm like, oh man, this is it feels right here. I totally know what he's talking about growing up in that era. And but I was too shy to do YouTube, but I always liked talk radio. Always liked listening to talk radio. My dad was doing talk radio, and I was like started listening to podcasts, and I started listening to All Gen Gamers because I watched Happy Console Gamer and Pete Dorr, and they're like, oh, we have a podcast. So I would listen to that, and I remember I listened to the 100th episode. It was like a 5-hour long podcast, and it was freaking fun. They had a couple of contests, and I actually got this right here. This is what I was going to show you. I actually won this from the All Gen Gamers. I framed it, but it's the 100th episode, and it's signed by, like, you know, Jason Heine, Metal Jesus Rocks, Pete Dorr, Gangster 81. It's all signed by them. I won that, and I was like, man, I want to start doing podcasting. So I got into podcasting. I started just doing like blog talk on my cell phone with my friend James, who started out as my first guest, who turned out to be my co-host. And I was like, okay, well, I want to start making YouTube videos as just like updating people on my podcast, because I still wasn't comfortable enough to be in front of the camera. Had no idea how to edit and stuff like that. So I started doing that, but then I decided to start making videos, started like making reviews and discussions, and it became like all one thing. You know, so I do videos and podcasting, but it actually all started with podcasting before YouTube.
Yeah, man. And I have to say, man, I'm a big fan of your podcast and your YouTube channel in general. Like, your content is freaking fantastic. Your podcast,
thank you.
Especially like I'll listen to your podcast like over and over and over. Like when I'm at work, and I'm just like, damn, this guy has such amazing content. Like, the way, like, you come up with the topics, the flow of the conversations, like that really, and I'll be honest, like that really inspired me to change like the style of my podcast to be a lot more organic, because you're a natural with it. Even with your YouTube videos, man, like you have a natural charm and charisma, and I respect the hell out of you for that. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that's made me like podcasting. That's like I was telling you earlier, and this is for the watchers and listeners. You know, people dial in the podcast because they enjoy the personalities. I mean, if you want gaming news, there's tons of websites for that. You know, if you want reviews, there's tons of websites for that. Podcasting's a little different because they're tuning in. And I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of YouTubers do like the gaming videos of like gaming news. It's because they don't just tune in for the broad topic. They tune in because they want to know what you think about it.
Yeah.
And I've been on a couple of podcasts before. It was very, straight to the point where they talked about the news. They gave their 2 cents and they went and talked about the news and just felt very robotic. And I'm like, people don't want to listen to that. People want to just listen to people's conversations. And I mean, as long as it's not too much off topic, like as a host, you have to kind of referee, be like, okay, we're talking too much about this. Let's bring it back to gaming.
Right.
I've had that before, where we would get on a tangent about wrestling. And I'm like, oh, shit, this is Excess Gaming Podcast. I got to go back to gaming for a minute,
Oh, man, we're definitely going to have to do something for WrestleMania this weekend. I'm actually more excited about because there's 3 shows this weekend. I'm super excited about the super card for Ring of Honor. I'm really looking forward to seeing Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes, or the American Nightmare Cody. I'm super excited to see the NXT main event. Like, I don't know if you're following NXT a lot. Are you?
I honestly, I haven't followed wrestling in a very long time. I kind of stopped watching wrestling after WCW went down. Like I watched when WCW went down. I stopped watching. I stopped watching a little bit, and I watched a little bit when WCW had the crossover with WWE. But then afterwards, I think the last time I watched wrestling was the WrestleMania that Undertaker lost his streak. That was like the last time I've watched it. Not that I don't like wrestling, because I definitely want to get more into like the New Japan stuff, because I hear that stuff's like so good. My co-host James, he's big into wrestling, and if I ever want it like in my wrestling fix, I just ask him what's been going on. But speaking of wrestling, I do have a good story to talk about. I actually got to meet Ric Flair.
Ooh.
See, like where I'm at, North Carolina, it's a huge capital of wrestling, old school wrestling. Ric Flair's from Charlotte, and like I was saying earlier, my dad used to do radio. He was a host of a radio station, like a country station, and Ric Flair was coming down to a Bozeman Sporting Goods to do a meet and greet. And I remember the line was so long of all these people that wanted to meet Ric Flair, dude. It was insane. This was like in 1999. So this is when wrestling was at its biggest peak, the Monday Night Wars and everything. And I remember I got to meet Ric Flair, and they had catering, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a big chain catering. It was more of a mom and pop catering place. I think it was like some sort of cookout sort of thing. And I remember he was kind of like weary, like he didn't know if he wanted to eat it or not, because he was like, I don't know, it's like KFC or something. So I went over there because I was hungry. So I went over there and started eating some of the chicken wings. And I remember Ric Flair, he said, well, if it's good enough for the boy, then it's good enough for me. And he starts eating the chicken wings too. And he was really, really cool. I just all I remember was eating fried chicken with him and just realizing that he had a really big head. Like, he has a really big forehead. That's what I was thinking about. When I went to go shake his hand, I'm like, man, he's got a really big head. It's like 5 head. But he was a class act, dude. He was great.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've got to meet him because my dad was, well, he's not anymore, but he used to be like a huge WCW guy. And he used to follow the territory system back in the day. And he, it was to him, he's like, it was always Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. Like, that was to him bigger than like Hogan versus Flair would have been. And so I forgot where we were. I think it was probably in like the late 90s. I want to say 97 or 98. And we were doing something when WCW came to Memphis, and I got to meet Flair and his daughter and David Flair, and they're all phenomenal people. Like, they're super good. I mean, I know like Flair has his own little issues like with alcohol and whatnot, but I mean, he you're right, man. He's a class act. He really is. Like, that's that memory. It's always gonna be with me. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and I love his daughter Charlotte. Like, she's a phenomenal wrestler. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of her stuff, but she carries herself like Flair 2.0.
Oh, nice. Yeah, like I said, I need to catch up on wrestling. I just, it's one of those things I haven't really watched too much of it, and my co-host just lets me know what's going on. Like, he's a big, my co-host is a big Yakuza fan like myself. I mean, he's the one that got me into the series, and he'd be like, "Yeah, Yakuza 6 it's gonna have New Japan characters in it from wrestling," and I was like, "Wrestling? What is that even a word?" But wrestling, but no, like he was telling me about it and stuff like that, and it's cool stuff. I like wrestling. It's nostalgic. It's not what it used to be, and that's okay. Things change. It's always going to be entertainment in some way or form.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with like the fact that when they bought out WCW, that was like really the end of their competition. And like I know like Jeff Jarrett tried to do stuff with like TNA, and you had all other types of MD promotions pop up left and right, but it really, realistically, there's only one show in the game, or actually now it's probably 2 or 3, because you could say Ring of Honor has come a long way. New Japan has really stepped up and now has more of a national or global audience now. But for the longest, it was just WWE and WCW. And once WCW went away, it's like I just feel like wrestling kind of died off for a long time because of that. They really watered it down. And then I think they went PG, and then it really wasn't for those of us who watched it anymore. But yeah, it's. I don't watch everything. Like I'll catch some stuff here and there. I'm a huge AJ Styles fan. I got to meet him before. He actually did a couple local indie shows out here in Hawaii, so that's why I got to meet him first. And super cool guy. He's a big gamer too. So.
Oh yeah. It's always nice to see like the even the wrestlers now are like more upfront about being into gaming. Like that was something that you didn't really hear back then. It kind of goes back to what we were saying, earlier about how popular gaming has became, and people kind of come out and they're like, "I like Final Fantasy."
You couldn't say that back when like Final Fantasy.
Oh no. Yeah, it's funny. Like back in the day, if you played Dungeons and Dragons, you were looked at as like you were satanic. Now you play Dungeons and Dragons, you look like an intellectual. It's funny. It's hilarious.
Oh man. So here's another question for you. What triumphs and challenges have you encountered in this YouTube / podcast journey that you've been on?
I think the biggest the hardest thing about doing it, and you can agree, is staying relevant and trying to make everything stay fresh while at the same time staying true to who you are. It's really hard sometimes because, like even myself, when I first started YouTube, my thing was gaming memories. Like I love talking about when I grew up playing games, and I'd be like, "Oh, this PS2 memories, Dreamcast memories." But after a while, I was running out of stories to talk about. So I was like, "Well, now what do I do?" And there's things that you can do that your audience will see through you. They'll be like, "Dude, that's totally not you." Like recently, I did a review of Payday 2 on the Nintendo Switch. I got a review copy and I did a review of it.
I'm jealous because they didn't send me one.
and I had people that are like, that's a really good review, but you don't really strike me as the Payday 2 kind of guy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really play a whole lot of first person shooters. But they totally sniffed it out. They're like, that was a good review, but dude, like this isn't a JRPG or a fighting game, so I don't understand why you did this. But so doing stuff like that, and there's always the hot topics of YouTube that people will jump on. I mean, I remember 2 years ago the drama channels were really, really big, and so everyone's trying to expose everyone. That became thing. Then at one time it was pickup videos, so everyone did pickup videos, and it's just a matter of like taking what's popular and trying to make it your own, but at the same time doing it in your style. And that's always been kind of my plateau climbing up. Now my triumphants, I would say, was just always progressing. You know, every time I make a video, I try to make it my best video that I have. You know, some people, they'll put out videos and they're like, oh, it's just, you know, another video. But I always look at, like, I always upload a video as if it's my last video. You know, so I always try to put everything into that, or my podcast. And I've met a lot of great people. You know, I've interviewed Guy Seehee from, you know, Silent Hill 2, you know, waking up 5:30 in the morning because he lives in Japan, and, you know, Skyping him, and got to meet some of those people. I got to, you know, meet people that make video games and, you know, compose video game music. I mean, you really realize how small the internet makes the world feel. And that was one of the things I've liked the most about doing YouTube and podcasting.
Like, do you, because I was probably going to ask this question later on, but like, since we're on the topic of like content creation and the passion of doing it, do you feel like with a lot of the YouTubers that are popping up now, like, say, since the Nintendo Switch and retro gaming got super popular, do you feel that a lot of these people are in it for the passion, love of it, or more so just for the clicks, views, and whatever money they can make?
I think it's all. I think the passion's always been there. You know, I think people are always going to be doing it because they essentially are passionate about it. But I mean, I think some people are very passionate about it, and they look at the fact that, like, hey, I can make money off this too, and I don't fault them for it. You know, if you can make a buck doing something that you enjoy doing, why not? But I mean, I think some people, they get too caught up in numbers, they get too caught up into, you know, trending topics, that they lose what they started doing it to begin with.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to do. I've had, like I said, I always have that issue myself, that, you know, I have to ask myself, you know, yeah, I can make this video and it would get a lot of views, but is this me? You know, and it's really, really hard. I always tell people when they tell me, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel, what do I do? And I'm like, well, first off, do it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
If you're doing it because you want to quit your job, don't do it, because it's the worst thing to do. I mean, even content creators who are doing it as a job, I know people that do it and they're just constantly stressed, man. It's probably one of the most stressful entrepreneur jobs that you can have at the moment, you know, because they're constantly, you know, stressing about Patreon. They're constantly stressing about the algorithms. I mean, I like the fact that I can upload a video and not worry about the algorithms.
Yeah.
I can worry about it because I want my videos and I want my content to do well, but I don't have to worry about it in the sense like, well, crap, I got rent to pay. I got, you know, food to put on the table. You know, in a matter of seconds, YouTube could just be completely gone. Google could just be like, you know, hey, we're going to, you know, because we've already seen it. Google could be like, you know what, we just want to make YouTube into a competitor with cable television, unless you're a part of, you know, ESPN or, you know, NBC or something like that. And I'm sorry, you know, we're just going to go ahead and just make this into what this is. And all the content creators could not have a job. You know, it could happen overnight. It's like a big factory just laying everyone off. So, I mean, with that being said, I that part kind of scares me. And that's what's made me kind of be like, you know, if I want to make money talking about video games, I'm going to try to do it in other ways than just YouTube, you know? So, and I do it this way. I instead of getting paid, I'm like, hey, I get review copies of games. I'm saving money. You know, my goal for 2018 was to review more games that were sent to me than actually going out and buying. And so far I've been doing pretty good with that. You know?
Yeah, I think you, Amy, and myself, like every other day, we're getting a review code for something. And a lot of you in the audience, you might be like, oh, that's awesome. But then when they give you deadlines and then you have like work and family and other stuff, it's like, God, I have to just set like blocks of time away just to play this game. And sometimes I come home and I just don't feel like doing anything but just vegging out.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is like, yeah, you got a free game and that's awesome, but you're going to have to review it. You're going to have to talk about it, you know? And I think sometimes, like, I remember I was talking to a friend of mine because I was getting all those review codes, and he's like, "Man, how'd you do that?" And I'm like, and it's real simple. I was like, I just emailed them and told them who I was and sent them my YouTube channel, and they sent me a code. It's never a guarantee.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get one, sometimes you won't. And, he's like, "Man, I need to do that." And I'm like, "Well, you're going to have to start reviewing them." And he was just kind of like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." I was like, "Yeah, you're going to have to critique the game and talk about it. And sometimes it's not playing the game. And sometimes the game's not good, but you still have to keep playing it." And, first world problems, but still. I'm making it sound like construction, but no, it's still work at the end of the day.
Man, I got I guess I announced it on Twitter a couple of days ago that I was getting this game, and I actually got it today. God of War, or Dad of War.
Nice.
And this game is apparently supposed to be like 35 to 45 hours long. And I'm like, cool. But I don't feel like I can fully beat this in the next 10 days just because I've got my wisdom teeth are going to be pulled out pretty soon, and then
oh god,
I've got to fly off island for work. So I'm like, one day I'm probably gonna have to just skip sleep, and just stay up and just play it, just so I can have something to put out, because they have a super strict embargo, and I have to put, I agreed when I signed it, and Sony, like Santa Monica Studios, made me sign an NDA. I don't know if you've had to do a lot of those with games you've reviewed, or they just include in the email that they send you. But with God of War, super strict NDA, can't really talk. I can't give out specifics of it. And I was supposed to start that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
at least they gave you a couple days. I've had some people who send me review copies, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the embargo is lifted tomorrow," and I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, granted, some of those games are really, really quirky little indie games, but even then, I'm like, dude, you want me to? Because you generally want to release. Okay, if you get review copies, you generally want to release the review when the embargo is lifted. That's what you want to do, because you want to release it before the game actually comes out, because then, it'll be trending and be on YouTube and people can find it. If you release a review the day the game comes out, then you're already kind of shit out of luck. So that's just something you have to do. And sometimes, they're like, "Hey, here's a game that comes out, in 3 weeks," and you're okay, cool, right? But embargo is lifted tomorrow. And you're like, thank God it's on the Switch. I can take it with me,
right?
So.
And then Amy just said in the chat, she said Diggerati does that. That's so true, man.
I love Digerati so much. Those folks are so nice to me, but holy crap, their embargoes. Sometimes they're like, "Hey, here's Bleed 2. Embargo's lifted in 3 hours." That's fun.
Man, I remember they sent me that. They sent me Bleed 2. Literally, they're like, well, I guess because since I'm so far behind you guys, I have extra time. But yeah, they're like, yeah, so it's coming out on this day, and we need you to put something out within this time frame. I'm like, oh.
And and just imagine if you weren't one of those kind of people that have notifications turned on your email. Imagine if you don't check your email and you check it next week or something. You're like, "Oh, I had a review code for Last of Us 2 last month." What? Sorry, guys.
I had that happen with EA, because they sent me UFC 3 to review. And I didn't check my email for a month and a half. And I was like, when I finally checked, I was like, oh shit. Because they sent me a follow-up email saying hey, we didn't get any email or response back from you. Did you put out anything? We haven't seen anything yet. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
That's too funny. I keep accidentally unplugging my camera, by the way. I'm sorry. There it goes.
It's fine, man. I'm dealing with noise issues over here because for whatever reason, everybody's off work at 4:00 in the afternoon, and I've said it in a couple other videos. Like, I love where I live, like this area in Honolulu, but the fact that I live on this super busy intersection, there's just always something driving by, and that's why I keep hitting the mute on my microphone, because I'm right next to a fire truck station.
Oh God,
It's
that's
horrible.
terrible. That's terrible,
Dude. Like I had it happen before, like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then the thing's going off, and it's like right there. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like the old apartment complex I used to live was like about half a mile away from the airport.
Mm.
And it was just like the planes would fly so low that their house would just start shaking. I swear I could like go on the balcony and like look outside and see the pilot and the plane. It was so low.
Man. I think one day we need to have Amy on the podcast, But I think people need to hear and experience her savagery.
Dude, I mean, I've learned a lot of things from Amy. I've learned a lot of things from her, like the sacred art of debates. What to do and what not to do. Debating is an art form. It really is. I mean, a lot of people, on the internet, they don't know how to debate. Discuss and be civilized and not throw insults and stuff like that. I mean, you can make someone look stupid without being mean to them.
It's so true.
It's just the way it is. But yeah,
I've seen her interactions with people when she's like literally trying to have a conversation, a good debate with them. They'll throw insults, and then she'll just like, I don't know how she does it. She can get them to apologize and then feel like shit, and then she'll troll them and then get serious again. I'm over here watching like, how do I channel my inner Amy to be able to do that?
That's how her and I met. I mean, people who watch my channel like know who Power Level Amy is, because I've done a lot of content with her and stuff, and we've, she's uploaded videos of our Let's Plays and stuff when she would just like annihilate me at Mario Kart. It was terrible, but but that's how her and I met. We met on like a Facebook group page, like a gaming page that she was an admin on, and like someone said something stupid about the Wii U, like just completely uneducated, the classic, oh, Nintendo's doomed, blah, 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 Nintendo's going out of business next year. And like she would like lay all these facts, and I would lay all these facts, and then her and I would like start messaging each other, like being like, okay, I'm about to say this to this person, I bet they're going to do this. And then all of a sudden we're just like, did we just become best friends? Yep. So I mean, that's just how it started.
Oh man, yeah, she's amazing, man. I have to say, man, she's such an amazing friend, and when you're on her good side, that's the best side to stay on. I would never want to incur her wrath. Oh man. Oh, I've seen some of the stuff she said to people, and I'm like, damn. If they ever said to me, I don't know if I could like recover from that. I'd need therapy. Oh, Amy, we love you. We see you in the chat. We love you, Amy. Oh man,
that's too funny.
So, all right. So, given this current state of gaming with the microtransactions controversy with EA, and studios being bought out left and right and shut down, where do you see the industry going?
Man, I honestly, I don't see the industry changing that much. I just see it like going progressively in the direction that's going into. A lot of people complain about DLC and microtransactions, but the reason why there's a market for that is because gamers buy into it. Microtransactions and DLC is never going to stop until gamers quit buying into it. There's so many times I've seen people that would rant and talk about EA and be like, this is the worst company ever. And then they would post, Star Wars day one that they bought it. And I'm like, You bought this. You bought this game day one. Like you're the problem. You're the problem right now. They're, oh, well, you know, I want to review it and I want to, like, no, it's just, it doesn't work that way. So I think, you know, DLC and microtransactions is a great way for companies to continue to make money.
Mhm.
And because, I mean, it's really interesting because you have to use game market that the gaming companies don't make any money off of. They don't make money off of used games. And then you have like the physical and digital media, and everything's going a little bit more towards digital. It's just, I think, you know, say, you know, 4 or 5 years from now, I don't think things are going to be that much different, but just more refined. You know, I think, I think we're always going to have microtransactions, but I think it's going to be a little bit more refined. Like they're gonna work out certain things. Like EA, you know, they tried with the paywalls and they tried with that and it wasn't working. And what they do, they stopped it. They shut it down. You know, so it's gonna be trial and error. And though I always tell people, if you don't want it, don't buy it. You know, don't make an initiative and make the market what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, a great example would be like, you know, Metal Gear Ground Zeroes when that came out. You know, I remember hearing about the game being so short, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna buy this, you know, because I don't want to support, you know, an in between game. You know, I'm just not going to do it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play it. Just means I'm not going to buy it day one. And sure enough, everyone was buying it day one, and then they were complaining, "Oh, I beat this game in 8 hours. I beat this game in like, oh, this one person beat this game in 30 minutes." And I'm like, well, what do you expect? You know, like. You know, it's like, what do you think? What's going to happen? I mean, it's an industry. It's a market. Gaming companies like to make money. Believe it or not, you know?
Yeah. And you know, what I was thinking too is if we really want to trace like DLC, the practices back, I've heard a lot of people say that it started with like the 360 era. I'm going to take it further back and say that DLC started because of Capcom and Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about digital DLC, I remember digital DLC being on consoles on the OG Xbox with Halo 2. I remember that. But yeah, like Street Fighter definitely was kind of like the DLC of the 90s when it came to console gaming. Because, I mean, you had Street Fighter 2, then you had Street Fighter 2 Turbo, then you had all these different ones. I mean, we bought into it. And you know what? I can't complain about it because I was one of the people who bought the Street Fighter 2 day one on the Switch, and I'm going to be buying the Street Fighter 2 collection. I'm in that majority, you know, so I can't really, I honestly can't go out of my way and be like, you know, screw Capcom. They just keep milking Street Fighter 2 because I keep drinking the milk. I'm putting it in my cereal.
Man, I wasn't even mad about the Ultra Street Fighter 2. Like, I know a lot of people kept saying, "Oh, it's just a port of the HD remix." And then the hypocritical thing I kept noticing with people saying that was these were the people who didn't even play HD remix when it came out in 2008. That a lot of them didn't even know what it looked like. They were just, I guess someone would say, like, who actually did play it, say, "Oh, it looks like HD remix." And they say, "Oh, it's the same thing." And like, as a Street Fighter head, and I know you are too, like if you played if you played Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then you play HD Remix, and then you played Ultra, the mechanics are fundamentally different. I mean, even in Ultra, I've noticed like the tech throws and they rebalance because I feel like HD Remix was not balanced very well, and I think
It wasn't. Really, they spent more time on the art style than they did the hitboxes. That's just the truth. I always told people when I would talk about Street Fighter 2 on the Switch, and they would just give me shit. I'm like, dude, it's Street Fighter 2 online portable. Like, that's the reason why I'm buying it, you know, because I like Street Fighter 2, and I like the fact that I can play a couple of games of Street Fighter 2 while I'm waiting on a seat at Chili's. You know, I can do that. So, I mean, that's the reason why I got it. I got it because I was just like, it's online Street Fighter 2 on the go. That's good enough to merit $40. And guess what? I didn't spend $40 on it. I went and traded in a couple of games and sold a couple of things on eBay and got it. I mean, you can get games without spending money. You just have to be kind of smart about it, you know?
Exactly. Or like if you got the Amazon Prime where you have
Yeah.
like what is it, the Best Buy, the Gamers Club Unlocked, you're getting like 20% off. So like a lot of the whining, like I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, well, if it was only about $30, I'd buy it." I'm like, well, you have options to get it brand new for that price and cheaper. So it's
Yeah.
just I just feel like it was just a lot of unnecessary whining that people were doing, and I'm seeing a lot of people now whine about the Street Fighter collection that's coming out next month because they're like, "Oh, well, they're just porting over again the same games we had," and I'm like, "Hold up, we've never had Third Strike portable."
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
We've never, and it's got Street Fighter 2 Double Impact,
yep,
which is like something that we've never really had too much on consoles. Like what we had it like on I want to say like a Street Fighter collection on PS2 and Dreamcast.
that was it. Yeah,
Yeah. And it is a very different game than Third Strike. It's
yeah,
very different. Different roster, different mechanics, different stages, you know. So I mean, and also we have Street Fighter Alpha online, you know, like
yeah,
that's awesome. That merits it right there. I mean, so yeah, I mean, Street Fighter collection, it's milking Street Fighter, but I mean, if you're a Street Fighter fan, there's reasons why you want to get it, you
yeah,
know. And I find a lot of people who will say, you know, oh, if it's this much, if it's that much, then I'll buy it. 9 times out of 10, those people were not going to buy it to begin with. I
hmm,
saw it all the time with the Wii U, man. When the Wii U was out, I would have people be like, "Oh, you know, I'll buy a Wii U when it goes down, you know, when it's like $100." And I would share them an eBay post where someone was selling like a Wii U brand new in the box for like $100. I'm like, "Look at this," and they're like, "Oh, you know, I just don't feel like buying it right now." And I'm like, you were just talking about 2 days ago how you would totally buy it if it was $100, or you would totally buy a Switch if like Metroid was announced, and Metroid gets announced, and they're like, "Oh, you know, there's just so many games I'm still playing right now."
very true. Um, and like, see, like speaking on like all the people that keep saying that Capcom is just, see, you can hear the all the street noise. The guy just learned by. That's why I keep turning because I'm like, good God, like really, like do you have to like have such a loud engine anyway? So all the people that keep complaining that like Capcom's not making new IPs and they're just re-releasing a lot of games, and there's a reason behind that, and I think a lot of people don't realize that the consumers really burned Capcom in the early 2000s up till like I want to say 2011, 2012, because Capcom was experimenting. I mean, you had stuff like Dragon's Dogma, you had the Lost Planet series, you had the actual remake of Bionic Commando in 3D. You had I'm trying to think of how the name of that one from Clover Studios.
Well, you had a Beautiful Joe and Okami.
Yeah. So they
Yeah,
were making new IPs. It's just people weren't buying them. And
exactly.
people don't understand, like, okay, if these companies, if you don't buy their games, they don't get the money. What do you expect them to do?
And again,
Like,
that goes back to what I say about buying a game used. 9 times out of 10, when you hear a gamer, they'll say, "I'll buy it when it's used." That doesn't do any sort of initiative to the gaming company. You're pretty
yeah,
much saying, "I'll buy it when they're not going to make any money off of it." Now, I understand it's hard to go out there and buy every single $60, $40 brand new retail game. It's hard, but if you do have any sort of little interest into a game, just go ahead and buy it, because that
yeah,
does show that the company, that shows them like, oh, well, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. And that's some of the problems that they had with Capcom with some of those new IPs. Because yeah, Lost Planet was awesome, but it didn't sell well.
yep.
God Hand was awesome, it didn't sell well.
God Hand
Does
was
now.
amazing.
People talk about God Hand like it was God sent, but I remember when the game came out, no one cared about it.
Yeah.
you know it's funny how that happens. I mean, Earthbound did the same thing. I remember, back in the day, they couldn't give away Earthbound back in the
Yeah.
day, man. But now it's like anyone who collects anything on the Super Nintendo, they're like, I gotta have Earthbound.
Was it? There's that, and then I remember the other game that came out, Hagane. for the Super Nintendo, super rare. I remember when it came out, nobody was trying to buy it. No one cared about it. Even the reviewers back then, they're like, "Oh, it's okay." And now it's like one of the most sought after Super Nintendo.
That game's so fucking hard, though. God, that game's freaking stupid hard. I don't care how much it's worth. It's not worth my sanity. That game's too freaking tough. I'm not scared to say that either. That game's hard. Fuck that game.
I mean, you make it sound like it's worse than Country Thief Alien Wars.
It's the Dark Souls of ninja games, Mekel. It's the Dark Souls of ninja games.
Oh man, that's fucking horrible. Is that bad?
It's hard. I'm over exaggerating a little bit. I haven't played it in a while, but it's pretty hard.
Oh, man.
It ruined my rental weekend as a child.
Oh man. So what, in your opinion, what sets retro gaming, say like the 80s to mid 2000s? What sets that apart from this current generation of gaming? And what do you think the differences are between like the gamers like us from that era to the current generation, which I think a lot of people kind of jumped onto gaming with the 360 and PS3?
Well, I think the difference between the retro gaming and today's gaming is trying to be a lot like the retro times. You know, the nostalgia is a powerful drug, man. Nostalgia really pushes so much, and I see a lot of similarities with gaming back in the 90s and the 2000s to gaming today. It's just a little different. I mean, that's about it. I mean, like I said, though, a lot of people they just try to relive the 90s and the 2000s with some of the indie titles and stuff, and I enjoy it. I enjoy that kind of stuff, and you get AAA titles that are trying to go a little bit outside the boundaries, and they don't sell too well, and that sometimes that makes you feel like, oh, that's kind of like the 90s and 2000s, so they were ambitious and coming up with the new ideas. But to be honest, in the 90s and 2000s, they didn't have new ideas back then either. I mean, you had if a superhero game came out, it was a beat 'em up. You know, if a Spider-Man game came out, it was a platformer. I mean, all those games, they followed the same genre. It wasn't really that different, you know. But yeah, I think that sums it up a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's that different, and I think the only difference now is people today, they expect a little bit different. They expect things to be a little different than people back in the day with gaming. Gaming today is a lot easier. It's more of a cinematic experience than quick reflexes and character patterns. A lot of people talk about Dark Souls, and they're like, oh, this game's so fucking hard. It's not hard. It's tough, but it's not hard. You gotta understand character patterns, and you gotta understand time signatures, and you gotta kind of go into it a little bit, and you gotta explore. You know, you play a new game today, like say you play Assassin's Creed, it has an arrow telling you exactly where to go. You know, you don't have that in games like Dark Souls, and you know what? You didn't have that in, you know, Strider. You didn't have that in Metroid. I mean, I remember if it wasn't for Nintendo Power, I would have never beat Metroid, because Metroid didn't tell you what the game was about. We didn't know about, you know, exploration platformers back then. I mean, if you played Super Mario and then you went and played Metroid, you were bound to just get lost. Same thing with Zelda. Yeah. But I mean, it's like, I see so many people now that I think sometimes they like the idea of certain games, but they just they don't have the intellectual stamina of like old style. And I hate to say that because it sounds bad, but I have some people that are like, oh man, I'd love to play Bloodborne. They play it and they're like, oh, this is hard. But you know, they have no problem playing Uncharted. And Uncharted's a lot easier game, you know, but it is what it is.
Oh, wow. Amy just said, she said, yeah, go try playing Final Fantasy 11, right, Xander? They drop you off in the middle of nowhere and say, get the F out of here, and send you on your way, no instructions.
Yeah. Dude, it's true. It's true. Like Final Fantasy 11 was a lot like that. I mean, I only played Final Fantasy 11 with Amy, and I played it very late. I think we played together back in like 2014. It was crazy. It was like we were playing 2000. We were playing Final Fantasy 14, and she's always been into Final Fantasy 11. Like she got into it when she was a lot younger, back in two PS2 days.
Mhm.
And she started talking about Final Fantasy 11, and I'm like, I've never played that, because when I was growing up, I didn't have internet, so I never played it. So she sent me the definitive copy on the 360, and we started playing it. And dude, like the second month that I had the game, that's when Square Enix were like, yeah, we're about to shut down the servers on PS2 and Xbox 360. And I'm like, no. But I mean, we did manage to get to play some of it, and it was fun. But yeah, like that, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know what I was doing in that game. Wouldn't have a clue at all.
Yeah, I feel like they really refined the experience on not the initial launch of 14, but A Realm Reborn.
Yeah, Realm Reborn, yeah.
Yeah. But it's it's one of the things I've kind of noticed, like with games of this day, like you got more people that are expecting like a tutorial within like the first hour or so of the game, and I
hate it.
I do, because me too, like, because I feel like it just really just slows the whole thing. And I don't know if it's just because I'm older or just because I have a lack of time, but like if it doesn't capture me in that first half an hour, I either have to have a strong will to just stick through it, or
like a Digerati embargo.
right. Oh man, like for real, like okay, so Persona 5, I have it, and I know you guys in the chat and listeners and viewers are probably gonna say this is blasphemy, but Persona 5, it didn't really capture me in the first half an hour, and I've had it for the last year. It's just sitting in my drawer. Same thing with Persona 4, and I have Persona 4 Golden. A lot of people say how great it is. I'm like, awesome! I played it 2 hours of social interaction, and I'm like simulation. I'm like, I'm bored. I'm like, can we get this on already? Can something happen? And I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I don't like I really don't like the beginning tutorials to games, because I feel like a lot of it's just an insult to my intelligence. They're like, press X to jump, press square to hit. It's like, if your health goes down, you're gonna die. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. And I mean, there's no way to skipping it. Like, dude, no lie. Sometimes when I'm starting a new game, especially RPGs, I have to get myself in the right frame of mind to play it.
Yeah.
Because I know the first hour, hour and a half, one, I'm not going to know what the hell's going on, because JRPGs just have crazy freaking stories now. I'm not going to know what's going on. I'm not going to have any connection with the characters when I first start playing, and I'm going to have to learn like this battle system and learn this and learn that, and the stuff that I already can figure out. I'm going to have to wait 30 minutes for them to explain it to me. So, I mean, it's always like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to play this game, and I'll like get myself ready, smoke a couple of cigarettes, fix a good breakfast, and get ready to play, But
I'm feeling that right now with every time I have to pick up and play, like when I'm trying to, I want to do a review of Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. I like the story. I like the gameplay. It's just, I don't know, like as a kid, for me, an RPG is like peanut butter and jelly. It just is perfect. As a kid, I could just like play RPGs all day.
Oh yeah.
As a 30-year-old now, it's like, let me wind down from work, personal life, other chores around the house. Let me cut the AC on because it's muggy out here in Hawaii for whatever god awful reasons it's so hot. And then if I don't feel like just vegging away on YouTube, then I might play. But other than that, oh dude.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I don't play MMOs. I know a lot of people, they say they don't play MMOs because it's addicting. For me, it's just, because I tried getting into Final Fantasy 14, and I played a good amount of it. My problem is just there was no gratification. I felt like everything I did in Final Fantasy 14, like I had to do something better right afterwards. And what turned me off, and if Amy's still in the chat, she's going to laugh at this, because her and I were playing when this happened, and she heard me when I just raged, and I'm like, I'm done with this game. This game's over. I'm not playing it anymore. But I was playing with her, and she was a much higher level, and she would get her chocobo, and we would go, and she'd show me places to level up. And I got tired of.
She said you killed a turtle in Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I totally did. Totally did. But I got tired of riding shotgun on the chocobo. I was like, I want my own chocobo. So she was like, okay, well, you need to get to this level. And I'm like, all right. So I got to the level, and it took me all day, dude. Because I was a white mage. It was before I became a monk. I was a white mage. So it took forever to level up. And I finally got to the level to get chocobo. I tell her, we get on, and she was like, well, okay, well, you got to do this one other mission. And I'm like, okay. So I go do the mission, and I found out I had to get like chocobo insurance.
What?
I had to get like this insurance. I had to do this mission to get to ride the chocobo, and I'm just like, dude, screw this. This is too much. I can't do it. I was like, let's go to Golden Saucer, and let's have some fun at the Golden Saucer, and then I'm done with this game. And I had never picked it back up. It's a great game. It really is. It's just not for me. I can't say it sucks, because it doesn't. It's a really good game. But I can't do it.
Off right now. Amy's like, you got pissed off doing Gold Saucer. She said you leveled the wrong class and didn't get insurance. You had to level up to 15 twice.
Exactly. Dude, I was sitting there doing white mage, and I was just like, why am I just not progressing? And she's like, you're doing it the wrong way. Like, she had me like in the seminar. She's like, what do you want to do? Like, how are you wanting to play this game? And I tell her, and she's like, why are you a white mage? I'm like, because I want to help everyone. She's like, that's not the class you need to be. You need to be a monk. So I started being a monk, and it was a lot funner at that point. But yeah, it was funny. I raged at that game so much, though. It was hilarious thinking back about it. So I just disappear, and she's like, where'd you go? And I'm like, I just quit. Done. I was such a baby about it. I'm like, I'm done with this game.
Does she still play it?
I think she does, yeah.
I have it. I need to get back on it. I haven't touched it in like 2 years. Oh, what'd she say? At least we got our Dragon Quest goo hats.
Yes, we did. They had, see, that was cool. Is Final Fantasy 14 would have like these events, and they had a Dragon Quest event, and we got to do these like Dragon Quest missions, and we both got King Slime hats. Mm-hmm. And the little golem mounts and stuff like that, and that was awesome. I thought it was kind of crazy. They had a yokai watch event on Final Fantasy 14, and they also had like events with Final Fantasy characters. Like I remember seeing one clip where Amy showed me where she was fighting with lightning. Like lightning just showed up, and they were like fighting all together and stuff. And yeah, little stuff like that. Apparently, like if I'm not mistaken, I think like Heavensward, the latest. I think that's the latest expansion.
Yeah,
it was heavily based off Final Fantasy IV, which was really cool. Like it brought back the lagoons and all that stuff. It was really cool.
Oh wow. I might have to get back on it.
Dude, Final Fantasy 14 is like got so much fan service. It's uncanny. I mean, it's got so much fan service. It was great, hanging out at the Golden Saucer. Like we would all get together and go to Golden Saucer and play games. And Amy got kind of a gambling problem. she manipulated. Well, I say it like as if she lost a lot of money. She didn't. Dude. She like manipulated like one of the mini games and like got all this money. And I remember she sent me a message of how to play it. She's like, "This is what you do."
She admits it too. She's like, "I did."
Dude, she was my freaking Final Fantasy 14 sugar mama though. I'm not gonna lie. So I first started the game. I was like, well, I need all this money. And she was like, check your mailbox. I checked it. It had like a million gil. She's like, go have fun. And I'm like, okay. Like, okay.
Amy is getting a lot of love in this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. All right. So do you think so is the fact that we're getting so many remakes and remasters of games, into a equal extent, I guess you could say movies as well. Is that telling on the industry is no longer having the creativity that game makers of yesteryear once had, or that there's truly a lack of imagination with the current set of game makers? And when I say all that, I'm saying Tetsuya Nomura, I'm looking straight at you. Stop directing Final Fantasy games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to remakes and remasters, I'm not opposed to them if they're done right. Mm-hmm. Like, if it's a game, like let's say it was a PS2 game and it got remastered on the PS4, and it was like a game that not a whole lot of people got to play. Like, imagine if they did a remaster of Rule of the Rose and released it on PS4. That would be amazing because that was a great game and it's freaking expensive and we could play it again. Think of Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2. I mean, that's great because it's introducing new people to the series, and because of the success of Yakuza 0, we're getting Yakuza 6, stuff like that. So I mean, in that aspect, I like it. Some aspects sometimes it's a little lazy. Like when, the 8th gen first started with the PS4 and Xbox One, to fill in that gap of backwards capability, they were making all those remasters and people were buying them. And it was annoying the piss out of me back then. Because I'd be like, I remember they had a PS4 bundle that was like PS 3.5, because it was like a bundle that came with like God of War 3, came with like Last of Us and Uncharted. And I'm like, this is everything on PS3. So with that being said, like, I don't like that kind of stuff. As far as the industry coming up with new ideas, the market has to make money and nostalgia is really, really big. So, I mean, they're not dumb. They see that, people would buy this, let's put it out. And there's not as much effort we have to put into it. There's less resources we have to do, as long as they still have the source code. That's the major issue. That was one of the problems that the Silent Hill HD remaster had, is they no longer had the source code to Silent Hill 2. And that's the reason it was a glitchy mess. But as long as they have the source code, they can put it out and, people will buy it. But when it comes to like new ideas and stuff, I always tell people, man, look at the indie titles, man. Look at not the AAA, but the second party, and the really small third party companies, the stuff they're putting out. And some of it's good, sometimes it's not. Not all indie games are created equal, but but I mean, like, to me, I think it's like, I always tell people, if you want to know more about games, do more than just read Game Informer. It's like, if that's all you do is watch, read Game Informer, that's all you're going to know about, what games I want you to pre-order.
And don't take anything Polygon says at face value.
Oh yeah.
After their review of Far Cry 5, I'm so done with Polygon. Oh, did you watch it?
I haven't watched it. I've heard about it though. I heard it was just a mess. Too much personal philosophies bled into reviewing a game. That's what I've kind of heard. So
it's I understand like what they were trying to say, but it's like it's so interesting that they're complaining about, like, one of the biggest lines is said in the game, and it's only said once, is referring to Obama as a libtard. And that one line triggered them so heavily. And they're like, oh, it just made me feel uncomfortable that they would say something like that. I'm like, have you played Grand Theft Auto?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure like they're gonna see some really rude awakening things in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh,
You
dude.
know, I mean, come on, America back in like the West. Back in the day, there was a lot of bad stuff going on. There's gonna be a lot of engine talk.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some major triggers. And I'm not talking about the sling shooters either. So I mean,
this is interesting. Like, and this actually wasn't a question I had, but I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna delve into this topic. But as far as like the journalistic integrity of a lot of these like Polygon and Digital Foundry and even a lot of YouTubers nowadays, like it's I've always thought that when it comes to journalism, and maybe it's because I used to be on the newspaper in college, like when I learned from that was you have to remain objective and you state the facts. You can sometimes include like a personal opinion, but it cannot become everything that's just your opinion, because if that's the case, it's just an opinion piece. It's not even really journalism. Like, do you think that a lot of these quote unquote journalists these days are not really journalists per se? Like they don't how am hopefully you understand what I mean. I'm trying to think of the correct words to say it. Oh, I think you unplugged your microphone again.
let's see.
We're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I had to, yeah, my microphone got unplugged for a second. Journalism and gaming now is just, I don't want to say it's a joke, because I mean it's not a joke, but I just think there's so much less that people can do than to make themselves a journalist, quote
Yeah.
unquote journalist. I don't think someone who reacts to other news articles, and this is going to put me in hot water saying this, but someone who makes YouTube news videos where you're reporting of what you just read and you're giving your 2 cents, that's not journalism. That's not. That's just reacting to journalism. I mean, that would be like, sitting in a room with someone and you're watching the news and someone's like, oh, well, that person said that's completely wrong. And you talk about it and they're like, well, that doesn't make you a journalist. You're just making a comment about it. But unfortunately, you have people that will say like, oh, I'm a gaming journalist. It's like, no, you're
I'm
not.
an industry insider.
Yeah. It's like, you're getting the same info from everyone else, buddy. It's like, it's public knowledge. But stuff like that. I don't like. I think sometimes people let too much of their personal things bleed on, and we saw it with Wolfenstein 2, we saw it with Far Cry 5. I'm like, you guys, do you not realize you've turned into that generation that we used to laugh at about Mortal Kombat being too violent?
Exactly.
You're sounding like those people right now. I mean, it's a freaking video game, and if a video game is trying to tackle a narrative that makes you uncomfortable and that makes you uncomfortable, then they've done the right thing.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to do. So I mean, if that offends you, then play Angry Birds. So, but I mean, because look at, dude. No one really talks about this, but look at Metal Gear, like the Metal Gear series. How controversial those topics were, and how political they were, and how much they like Keiji Mifune, not Keiji Mifune, but Hideo Kojima.
yeah.
How much he like put so much thought into the different situations and events and mixed fiction with what was actually going on. Like people today, if they played a game like that, they would lose their shit. They would just lose it.
And especially like if you remember, like when Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty came out, like the ending, like when you're at the end of was it the plant? I think it was when
Mm-hmm.
Colonel and you were dealing with the AI, the Patriots. I remember when I first played that, and I had my mom was there sitting with me, and I'm over here like, what the hell am I playing? Like, what is this? Like, it just seems so surreal. And then, they're talking about how, you got the media control and people are being told to, we're selecting what information you get and blah, 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 blah. And, as a kid, I'm thinking, this is insane. This would never happen. And then fast forward 20 years later, or close to 20 years later. And then, like the video put up with the Sinclair Broadcasting, where they're actually reading stuff off a script. And then you've got this whole controversy in the world right now about fake news. And it's like, if you think about it, Kojima was really ahead of his time touching on this exact subject.
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. It really is. But I mean, going back to the like gaming journalists, I always tell people that like reviews in some aspects are just paid opinions. Yeah. That's really all they are. I mean, I'm the kind of person that I take reviews seriously, depending on the person. Like if you made a video and you did a review, I'd be like, Mekel, I agree with a lot of his views on things. If he says a game's trash, I'm probably going to wait before I buy it. But I always tell people that even if someone you look up to or someone that you respect says something, still try to play it on your own. Still try to make your own opinion. Never, I'm never one of those kind of people. I never want to be one of those people that are like, oh, that game sucks. I heard it's terrible. Like, I heard the game sucks. So you've never played the game, so how do you know it sucks? So I try to keep an open mind and try to form my own opinions with it.
And I see a lot of that, like especially back when Metal Gear Survive came out. And that for me, especially with a lot of the bigger YouTubers, and I'm not going to drop names. I've already said it in past podcasts, but I'm one of the people that got a review copy at the same time all these other YouTubers did as well. And we got it the day it released, and they didn't turn on the servers. So when I saw that these other YouTubers were putting out reviews within 5 minutes of the game being available for purchase, I'm over here like, how do you have a full review? There's no way for you to play the game. Like, there's no offline mode for Metal Gear Survive. And I remember getting an email from Konami. They asked me, they're like, what type of review am I going to put out? Is because they're getting a lot of negative backlash from people who are basically throwing out a review, and even they're asking like, how have you beaten this game so quickly? We just literally turned on the servers. Like, I was on that email list, and that to me was one of the biggest moments where I got to a point where I'm thinking like, okay, there's an integrity issue. And then with a lot of these YouTubers that reach out to them like, hey, how did you guys beat this game already? And then it's like, oh, well, we kind of base our review off the beta. So I'm like, so it's not even the actual full game. You're playing off of something that was inherently already broken, but it's in the making. Like, okay.
I mean, it was because it was like this. Metal Gear Survive was automatically, dead in the water because it was a, Konami game without Kojima. Yeah. It had the whole like hashtag fuck Konami. So it would almost be like, I don't really have to review this game. I could just say it sucks, and people will be like, yep, you're right. Yep, sucks, because it is what it is. And it's just like I remember I was one of the people that were just like, I'll check it out. It may not be so bad. And people were like, you're just, slobbing on Konami's knob, And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just, I want to, play a game, and I just want to form my own opinion. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I hate to use the term sheep, but it was a lot of sheep when it came to that. I'm not saying that be defending Konami. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that. I'm saying as in like it's truth. Not enough people played it to really form their own opinion. And when they were saying stuff like, well, they bring up about Kojima, I'm like, dude, Kojima's moved on.
Yeah.
He's doing his own thing now, and it's time for gamers to do that too. I mean, I'm pretty sure Kojima didn't like stay in his his room while the game was released and would like cried on his pillow that he no longer had control of Metal Gear. I'm pretty sure he didn't do that. He's probably like, wait till people play Death Stranding,
Yeah. And that's one of the things too is like, and that's going to lead into my next question. Like, given that Metal Gear Survive was basically a Monster Hunter open world s type game and take on the Metal Gear Solid 5 engine, do you find it odd that gamers hate it yet love Metal Gear Solid 5, even though aside from the story and the hunger element and the the resource building, there's virtually no difference between the two games other than it's a 3-year-old engine.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it's hated. I knew it was going to be hated. The moment they made the video on it, that was like when with Konami and pachinko. Okay, because I work in a pachinko parlor. I work in the only pachinko parlor in the United States. I know what pachinko is, but I remember when Konami started getting a lot of publicity about making pachinko machines, and people started being like talking really bad about pachinko, and they wouldn't even know what pachinko was. And I'm like, do you realize Konami's been making pachinko machines since the 80s? That freaking Sammy, the company Sammy, started out as a pachinko company. Pachinko's huge in Japan, and it's not really that surprising that they would make a Metal Gear pachinko machine or Castlevania pachinko machine. Where I work at, we have a King Kong pachinko, we have Evangelion, we have Gundam, we have a Michael Jackson pachinko machine. I mean, pretty much anything that's popular in Japan, they'll make a pachinko machine out of it because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry over there. But adding that and the Kojima stuff and the coworkers that were getting, completely wronged by Konami, adding all that together was just this, big ball of negativity. So by the time Metal Gear Survive came out, it was dead in the water. If Metal Gear Survive was called something else other than Metal Gear, people would be praising it. People would, I really think a lot more people would be like, oh, wow, Konami came out with a new IP? Huh, this is crazy. They just called it like Survive Dead or something. People probably would have bought it into it.
Yeah, I mean, because from what I played of it, I love the game. Does it have rough edges? Yes, there's a lot of rough edges here and there, but it's not anywhere near the flaming turd that a lot of them make it out to be. And that's the part that just gets me is like it really is like you can get one journalist, and it I feel like in this day and age it isn't even really journalists, it's YouTubers, Digital Foundry, it's a lot of the big names in gaming like ECG and whatnot that can say one thing bad about a game, and then you've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that won't touch it because of one person. And I feel like because of that, like the amount of power that YouTubers have nowadays, they can kill off games.
Oh yeah.
With one word and just say it's trash or just say trash, and it's like it's done.
I mean, I've had discussions with gamers that I could tell they were just paraphrasing everything they just watched a YouTuber say, because I watched that video and they would be saying the same exact thing, and I'm like, huh, like
Right?
that's not really what you're thinking. That's what you heard, but yeah, I mean, like, I always thought it was kind of interesting when people would say that they didn't want to play Metal Gear Survive because it was a Metal Gear not made by Kojima. And I'm like, but you like Metal Gear Rising.
And that wasn't like, made by him.
Or Metal Gear Acid, or not, or like the Metal Gear Peace Walker. I think that was also not made by Kojima. That was just,
or even Portable Ops. He didn't make that one either.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. And when people were just like, "Oh, Metal Gear survived it. Oh, Metal Gear's that doesn't make any sense. Like a zombie game of Metal Gear." I'm like, dude, Metal Gear Solid 2 had a fucking vampire in it. You
Right.
know, it's like, come on, zombies are not that far fetched from Metal Gear Solid. You know, we had a vampire, we had a cyborg ninja.
We had ghosts at
Yeah.
the end. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not that far fetched.
Oh man. So we had a couple questions in chat already. One is from Segalacious of Also Jiggly. He asks, "Are there any virtual fighter pachinkos?"
Yes, there is. Yes. There is. I don't have any in my parlor, but that I work at. But I mean, the one that you see on Yakuza 4, the pachinko, that's an actual real pachinko machine that actually exists.
Oh, cool. Then we got so Amy said one of these days I'm just gonna show up at Xander's work and be like sup and not even acknowledge him and just go and leave him confused. He's a fucking savage.
She's just gonna leave and be like owned.
Right? Oh my goodness. She also said, since we were talking about how these YouTubers can kill off a game, so she said they tried killing off Sea of Thieves but got bodied. They really did. They really tried to kill that game.
Oh yeah.
And Microsoft was like, "No, I'm not having that."
Oh yeah.
But you're right. There's this thing like I've noticed it, and I know we kind of talked about it earlier privately, but there's this. I really have to agree with what you said. Like there are some people that, as I've become a YouTuber, a lot of people I've looked up to. Some of them are cool. A lot of them are just not. And with the clicks. I'm really struggling not to say a lot of these guys are ass. Oh wait, I just said it. They're assholes.
Well, I mean, it's like anything in industry. I mean, there's going to be cliques. There's going to be people that get along, people that don't get along. There's going to be people who make videos and they seem like a really nice person, and you get to know them and they're not. But that's life. And some people may say that's like being toxic. I don't think it's being toxic. I think it's being real. Now, I don't agree with call out videos, like someone who makes a video just to try to throw a YouTuber under the bus. I think that's a waste of time. I think that's stupid. I'm like, what are you trying to gain from this? Like they're going to stop making videos? No, they're not going to stop making videos.
I mean, if you only play 10 hours of a game, at least name me. Don't do a video about me.
But I mean, like, I just, I never understood that mentality. I mean, I've had my time, in the past where I've been like, that YouTuber, he's a fucking dick. I've done that before. People are like, oh, he's so toxic, so much drama. But, then they'd turn around and they'd find out that person was a dick. And I'm like, people can have a good taste in games. People can make good content and not be a good person. Exactly. I mean, we see that with celebrities. Yeah. How many celebrities that we know that are good actors, good musicians, and they're just not good people? This is the way it is.
Yep.
Just because someone owns, a copy of Little Samson doesn't mean they're a saint.
You had to bring up Little Samson.
I had to bring up Little Samson.
Amy said we need more videos about islands, generators, and Amy, why are you still
island generators?
Oh my god, you're still trolling Coloco. I can't believe that dude he blocked me on Twitter because I talked about that and laughed. I wasn't even in the drama and I got banned because of it.
Oh my god.
She said she'll never let it go. Also Jiggly said people on YouTube in the comment sections are dicks too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's true. The comment
Oh
section
yeah,
can be toxic.
yeah. That's like some of the times like the comment section's not even worth checking out. Sometimes in certain videos, like I'll watch a video and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going on the comment section.
Right.
You know, not doing it.
Oh man, like you guys have seen a lot of my recent comments. Like, this is getting pretty insane. Like, some people, I feel like I like to call them keyboard warriors because they'll say and talk big behind a keyboard. If you were to meet those people in real life, they wouldn't. They wouldn't have
Oh
a
yeah,
pulse.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like I try like my best, you know, to not be an asshole online. Sometimes it just comes out because, like I said, I just don't have any filter. I just say exactly what's on my mind. If I don't care how big a channel is, if you make a video reporting news, it's false. I'm going to say it's not right. I'm like, you know, you got your statistics wrong, you know. And some people, they cannot take criticism. They hear that and they're like, oh, you're just being a hater, or you're just trying to stir drama, or you're just this and that. You know, it's crazy.
I've seen your savagery at work sometimes. I'm over here like, I know they hate you.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, we could do like a whole segment of just the stupid shit we see other YouTubers do. And the sad part about it is I think for a lot of people, like I think you were saying earlier, like a lot of them are introverts. And it just
Yeah.
seems like they get that first like sense of I guess fame or attention, and it's intoxicating for them.
Yeah.
And they just the ego, like a lot of it I feel like is false ego. Like they're probably insecure, but then they get so many people saying, oh, you know, blah 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 blah, and you're so great, you're so this, and it goes to their head, and then next thing you know, they got an ego bigger than the fucking state of Texas. It's like, wow.
Yeah. and the thing about it is like it's kind of like an unspoken taboo that you don't talk bad about other channels. Like I don't understand that mentality. I mean, you can critique other channels because I think 9 times out of 10 people who watch YouTube are also content creators and vice versa. Yeah. You know, that was like I made a meme, like I changed my mind meme on my Facebook that said pickup videos are the most boring kind of YouTube content when it comes to gaming. Like I cannot stand pickup videos. And people got really upset about it. People were like, well, you don't have to watch it. You don't even have to acknowledge it. You know, and people were like getting upset. Like I was calling them out. I'm like, dude, I didn't name any names. 2, it's my opinion. I think they're boring videos because a lot of people are just like, you know, I got this game. Got that game, went to a flea market and got this game. They don't tell you about what the game's about. They don't tell you why they bought it. It's just a grocery list, and I think that's boring. If anything, that people who make pickup videos should look at that as being like, how can I make this not boring? You know? But people's feelings get hurt too much.
And Duo in the comment section, he said, the internet gives people liquid courage.
It does. It does.
Oh man, yeah. You know, and one of the things too, like for me, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it, but I really don't like the news channels, like the gaming news channels. And it goes back to like what you were saying earlier. A lot of these guys just take their information that other people probably dug up, or they did the same thing that the person who's doing the news channel information, they take it from someone else who got it, who probably got it from someone else. And then they're just telling you the same thing you could learn by just going to a website and looking it up. And it's like, I don't understand how a lot of these people pick up so many subscribers and such a fan base. And it's like, the only thing original is the way you're delivering the news.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the YouTube news thing. Right now, it's like that's the hot topic, that's the hot thing, that's the hot trending thing. Like it was, you know, 2 years ago was pickup videos and game hunting and stuff. Everything dies and you get a new trend. Right now, that's the trend. It's gaming news. The reason why is because it's fast. It's, you know, the newest thing that happened. So it's going to be part of the algorithms. It's going to be in the searches, and I can understand why some people do the news. Same reason why we do it. We like to discuss and give our opinions on it. I have no problems with that. Like if someone makes a video being like, oh, they just announced Spyro the Dragon remastered. Here's what I think about it. Here's what I would like to see about it.
Yeah.
That's cool. But when someone's like, you know, Spyro the Dragon's getting a remake and blah, 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 and they're just like rephrasing exactly what they've just read. And then they're like, well, that sounds like it's going to be great. Be sure to subscribe, donate to my Patreon. You know, it's like that. It's just lazy, but I know why people watch it. And people watch it because they look up to that content creator. They want to know that person's opinion. And they're like, yeah, I can read the news, but I really like this person's channel and I like to get my news from that person. So that's, I mean, I understand why it happens. But like I said, personal opinion, I think it's like TMZ. I think it's just cheap entertainment.
Damn, you went there.
I do. I think it's like TMZ, you know? And I mean, a lot of people are going to hate me saying that and they're going to say, oh, he's salty. But no, that's just my opinion, you know? Different strokes for different folks. I'd rather watch, you know, when it comes to gaming, I'd rather watch a review or, you know, gaming history or, you know, top 10 JRPGs that never came to the United States or something. Like that's the kind of stuff I like to watch.
Yeah. And, you know, and I fully agree with you because I feel like it's gotten to a point, it's so oversaturated. You got so many people doing a cookie cutter thing of the same content. I just feel like at this point, it's like I can watch the same person. And I don't know if you noticed this too, but a lot of people who do the news channels that have multiple uploads in a day, it's the same, like the one that comes out in the morning, and then 2 hours later, the next video is basically the same goddamn thing. It's just they switch the order around of what one they're talking about first. And it's like, wow, you have nothing really to talk about. Or you got the ones now where it's like, how many ways can they speculate about what's in the new Smash Brothers? Like, God.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, or, you know, gaming news right now has been very, very slow. So a lot of people that do the gaming news, like, dude, they've been like digging, trying to come up with something, you know, like around this time, if like I could see a video being made like Shigeru Miyamoto sneezed on his Starbucks cup. Does this mean that Smash Brothers 3 is going to have blah, 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 blah? You know, it's just like, oh my God. It's like, come on, man.
Like you're reaching now.
It's like yeah, it's just overreaction, and that stuff is just, it's not entertaining to me. And like me as a content creator, I try not to do that kind of stuff. Like I'll cover news on like the podcast and talk about certain things that are going on. If something's really crazy, like news-wise, I might make a video if it's something I enjoyed. Like if Konami released a trailer for a new Castlevania tonight, then yeah, I would probably make a video tomorrow talking about it because I'm a big Castlevania fan. But I'm not going to be reporting on Fortnite because I don't really play Fortnite. I don't play PUBG. I don't play Minecraft, you know, so I'm not going to talk about that stuff. There's no point.
Yeah. And you know, that's the thing that just really gets me. Like I think for me, it led to me getting to a point where I wasn't sure if I was actually going to stick with YouTube or not because I was getting burnt out. Like,
oh yeah,
not even from my own content, but like from seeing news channels and game review people that seemed like they put no effort in it and they're just regurgitating the same shit. Especially when you know a lot of these people from the same clique. And it's like if you watch person A video, then person C's video is the same exact thing. And I was just getting burnt out, man. Like to a point, I remember telling Amy, like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna quit." And she's like, "No, just do your thing." And then that's why. And I have to thank Amy. Amy, we're not worthy of you. Okay, we're not worthy. I have to thank Amy because if it really wasn't for her, then man, I probably still wouldn't be doing YouTube, to be honest.
And you know, and being discouraged and stuff like that, dude, it's completely normal. I've had a couple of things like that to myself, you know, just getting burnt out. You know, when I was doing like 2 videos a week, I mean, 2 videos a week to some people is nothing because they make, like, some people make videos daily, but, you know, working 2 jobs and sometimes 3 jobs and doing 2 videos a week and trying to do 2 videos a week that's not news, that's not the hot topic, trying to come up with something different, you know, it can really burn you out. And that was some of my issue. And so I took a little bit of a break, and then I found out I had to move. So then my channel is a little bit on hold until later on, a little bit, probably next month, beginning, that I'll reboot my channel. And I'm really excited about it because I've been writing down ideas of videos I want to do, and none of those ideas are going to be anything about Spyro the Dragon HD remaster. You know, it's not going to be anything like that. It's not going to be about Spider-Man 2 or the Spider-Man on PS4. It's going to be, you know, stuff that I enjoy making content about, stuff that I want people to watch. The thing about the news videos is, like, what relevance is it going to have a week from today? It's not going to have anything, you know? That's the reason why, like, when I make videos, I like to make videos talking about my memories or reviews, or because sometimes I look at it as like a personal time capsule for myself. You know, I can go back and watch a video I made back in 2013 and be like, wow, you know, that's what I thought about that game. That game sucks, you know? But you know, like a lot of those channels, I mean, who goes back and watches, you know, a news segment that happened last year, unless they're trying to dig dirt on that YouTuber? No one does it.
Yeah, that's true. And it really is, man. It's really, like, I kind of liken the news channels to, like, say, a Twitter post, and it's gotten to the point where it's like you'll probably never go back to a Twitter post that you made if it's covering something that just happened, just because it's gotten to a point where it's like, oh, well, that's not relevant anymore. And, like, a lot of these news channel YouTubers, like, I think it's really about numbers. Like, we got to get so many hits just to play to the algorithm, and it's what video you probably put out at 12 in the morning is irrelevant at 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, that's like why I don't hate on it too much. Like, I don't think the people who make news segments on videos, and I want to say this clearly, I don't think they're bad people. You know, like, when I say stuff about content, I'm talking about the content, I'm not talking about the person.
Yeah.
I just, like, that's some of the problems that some people have. They feel like that if you talk about their content, you're talking about them. You know, it's like, I know people who are really good people, but they can't play guitar. They're not a good guitar player. Some people are not good content creators when it comes to certain things. Just for me anyway. It's all subjective. But you know, that's why I don't hate on them too much, because a lot of these people are trying to make a living on it, and you got to kind of do what you got to do. You know, I feel like, you know, the news, the gaming news right now, it's like if you've worked retail and you got the manager that tells you, hey, you have to sell these DVD players. Like, these DVD players have to sell. That's kind of like what they're doing with the gaming news. They have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's oversaturated, so you have to do something. So,
yeah. So speaking of Konami, I know we brought up Konami, and you said if they made a new Castlevania, you'd be all over it. So I have to ask you, has Konami become an irrelevant developer, or are they slowly making a comeback in the West, given their steady success in Japan and the West? You know, overall, and are Kojima fans are they unwilling to give them a chance? And how can we hashtag make Konami great again?
well, okay. I think Konami's got a lot of work to do because of the Kojima debacle, because of how they treated their employees. But also, gamers have a very short-term memory. They really do. There's things that, you know, gaming industry has done that's burnt gamers in the past, and gamers still do it. I mean, why do you think Call of Duty sells so much? Everyone always talks about how bad Call of Duty is, but it sells day one. People still buy it. I think what Konami needs to do is they just need to bring back old IPs. And I'm not talking about Castlevania as much as I'd love to see Castlevania and Contra, but they need to bring stuff like Mystical Ninja. They need to bring stuff like that back. They need to bring what's that one RPG, the Shadouken, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to bring that stuff back.
Suikoden.
Yeah, they need to bring stuff like that back. Just do like little things like that. Try not to make games with microtransactions because that just pisses people off. And even if they're just really lower budget games that are like $30 retail games, like imagine if they came out with a brand new Contra that was just the classic 2D side-scrolling Contra that was like $30 new retail on the Nintendo Switch. People would gobble it up. I mean, we saw it with Bomberman. People for a little while forgot the hashtag fuck Konami when Bomberman came out. They forgot for a little bit until Metal Gear Survive got announced. I was gonna say, I think you're muted, man. I can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's kind of funny because I think the hashtag fuck Konami was trending worldwide for a while.
Oh yeah,
man.
And I mean, and you could see the people like, okay, you could see the people that report on news. Watch one of their videos when Bomberman got announced for the Nintendo Switch, and then watch the way they talk about Konami when Metal Gear Survive came out. It's polar opposite. When Bomberman was coming out, they're like, could Konami be changing their ways? Could Konami be doing something good? Oh, what other IPs would we like to see Konami bring back next? Castlevania? Contra? Silent Hill? And then Metal Gear Survive came out, and everyone was like, reminded, getting flashbacks of, Metal Gear Solid 5, and they were like, fuck Konami, and then, they just like threw the bus under Metal Gear Survive. It was like polar opposite. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was horrible that they did it that way too. It's like, of all the things you could bring back, like, they could have brought back the hardcore series. And remember, they remade Contra. They made the prequel to Contra Hardcore on the Xbox Live Arcade as just hardcore. And had Arc System Works through the animation, everything. Is a stellar game. And they could have brought that back. And hey, we're gonna have that on all platforms. That could have been good. They could have really reached and brought back a series like Deadly Arts that debuted on the 64. Wasn't that great back then, but I mean, there's a lot that's been standardized in the fighting game genre. They could have brought that back. They could have brought back Mystical Ninja, because we haven't had a new Mystical Ninja game since, I think, The Great Adventure on the 64.
Yeah.
And it's like they have, and this is the same issue I have with Sega, same issue I have with Capcom at times too. They have a lot of just treasure troves of franchises they can tap into, but they don't.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Like a new Virtual Fighter. Give us a new Virtual Fighter with Kiryu as a DLC. I'll buy it. Imagine Virtual Fighter with Kiryu and Majima, and they're like, "Oh, it's a season pass." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to do this."
Right? It's like, especially with how well you've got the Yakuza series doing. I don't understand why Sega should not be in the situation that they're in. They've got so many IPs they can tap into. Phantasy Star, Skies of Arcadia, Time Stalkers, what else? What else do they have? Landstalker. There's Comic Zone, like Streets of Rage,
Golden Axe, Super Hang On.
Oh man, Super Harrier, Space Harrier. Yeah, like there's so much that they could just hop in. Knights, even Knights, Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah.
I think my blood
Hell,
pressure just went
hell,
up.
dude. Even if they brought back Alex Kidd on the Switch, they brought back a new like Alex Kidd in the Mushroom Kingdom. I want to see that. Imagine
Exactly.
Alex Kidd like in a Mario crossover game. That'd be awesome.
Right? Monster Boy. Well, actually, I think they are bringing back Monster Boy, but that's not Sega. I think they don't have the IP anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, it's a different company now. But no, like Sega does have a lot of IPs they could be doing, but I mean they just kind of just stick with Sonic, you know?
Oh, also Jiggly in the chat, he said to tell you, I guess for the Virtua Fighter remake, or they bring out a new one. He said Ryo and Lan Di from Shenmue.
Dude, that would be, oh man. Just imagine Rio versus Kiru. Oh, dude.
Oh.
They're just throwing capsule toys at each other.
See, I would love to see, and I think Sega they could do it if we had a game that threw in Yakuza, Virtua Fighter, and Shenmue. Because what's keeping these games from actually being in the same continuity? Like, say we had an adventure action RPG that had the adventure elements of Shenmue with, you know, the cinematic style of Yakuza, and then when it came down to fighting, you could either play Yakuza Shenmue style or Virtua Fighter 2D style. Like, the depth would be insane.
Well, I mean, they're all related in some way too. Because I mean, like Shenmue started out as a virtual fighter adventure game. That's how it was
Yeah,
originally going to be. And then, you know, the same folks who made Shenmue went off to make the Yakuza series. You know, so it's all kind of connected. Dude, just imagine if there was just an Easter egg of like you get to play a Yakuza game and like of course, it wouldn't be Kiru because this is his last chapter. So you're playing as a new like protagonist. Imagine going to the Sega Club and you're walking by and you see Rio like getting a capsule toy, like just
right?
something like that. Like, why don't they do stuff like that, dude?
Man. And
Or
that's
he
what
asks, or he asks you where like seamen are and you get in a fight with them.
right. That would be epic. No, and that's the thing that makes me wonder is like, is Sega just scared to do something? It's not like they're broke or they're gonna go bankrupt. They have money
I
to
mean, they
take
have
these.
Atlas. And we talk
Yeah.
about all the Sega IPs. What about all the Atlas IPs too? I mean, they're sitting on a lot of stuff.
Wait, Sega owns them right now, right? They own Atlas.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's the craziness. That's the craziness.
I think, by looking at the chat and with our conversation, we just triggered a lot of Sega heads right now.
Oh, we got a lot of Sega hate. What's going on?
No, a lot of like Sega people, like the Sega heads.
Oh.
They're in there going off. We were naming games. They were naming games.
Oh.
Oh, Fighting Vipers. I would love to have another
Yeah.
Fighting Vipers. Virtual
Yes.
On. Can you imagine playing Virtual On in VR?
Oh man, that'd just be great. That'd be great.
Oh my god, we need to get away from Sega. We were talking about Konami. Let's talk about Konami because Sega's getting me triggered right now.
Talk about our favorite Konami games on Sega.
Oh, but yeah, man, like Konami, I think, and I think this is also because a lot of American or Western gamers, they're not familiar, and I know you have a vast knowledge of it, but I feel like in Japan, Konami is doing fine because of the pachinko. But I
Yep.
don't think a lot of Western audience understands how relevant pachinko is. to the Japanese market, and how even if they tank here in the West, they still have,
yeah, they're still making enough money off of mobile and pachinko sales. That was like, when they made that someone made a video when they were talking about Metal Gear Solid 3 turning into a pachinko machine. They made a video about it, and this was supposed to be one of those news videos, and they said themselves, like, I don't know what pachinko is, but I don't like it. It's like, you don't know what it is, but you're already saying you don't like it because they're making a Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine instead of it on console. Like that was the whole argument. They were mad that it was coming out on pachinko instead of on console. And it's like, are you serious? Like, wow. It's just very, very closed-minded when it comes to that. And pachinko's awesome, dude. I enjoy playing it. I mean, I love that job because, when it's slow, I just grab a couple pachinko balls and play some games, It's addictive. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, man, we really triggered Amy. Amy says she hates Konami, too. She said we got teased with the country reboot like 6 years ago with the title screen. That's it. She says Xander knows my country love, and the franchise getting ignored triggers me. It gets me triggered as Nil Knights from Sega.
Yep.
She said, I feel Ultra Instinct kicking in.
Ka.
We got everyone in the chat going off. They're like, Sega, like, where's Snatcher? Where's Eternal Champions? Where's Crazy Taxi? Virtual Cop VR? Dolphin Blue? Rocket Knight? Oh, yeah. That's something else Konami could bring back. Rocket Knight. Yeah, I remember they brought it back in like 2010 to an audience that just didn't know anything about it. Like, but still, like, Rocket Knight is classic. Like, I remember playing that back on the Genesis, Rocket Knight Adventures, Sparkster, the sequel, the Super Nintendo version of it. I'm like, these games are phenomenal. I miss the era of the 90s where you just had people going ham on just what can we throw out there? How can we can take this concept and just make it crazier?
Yeah. There's so much that freaking Sega could do. Like, hell, even if they made a new Monkey Ball on Switch, I'd buy it.
I'm gonna. Can we get a new one of Samba de Amiga?
Yes.
Can you imagine that on the Switch? Can we get a new one of that? Can we get Sega? Now, can we bring back Sega Rally?
I know, right? Make it online with leaderboards. Come on, make another Daytona USA.
Oh man.
Well, they did come out with a new Daytona USA, but it's only in arcades. And it's not that good, I hear. It's kind of, and Sega kind of screwed up with that. You know how Sega did the Yakuza 6 demo where they actually accidentally released the whole game?
Yeah.
They did that with Daytona, the new Daytona. They made a patch that would turn the original game into the new game. The only problem is they send the patch that was like the full ROM of the new Daytona. Wow. And so they're like, oh, here it is. We got the full game. So you had the emulation community that's trying to dissect it, and they're trying to get all the controls down, and people can just start playing that through emulation, which is pretty cool.
Oh, man. Amy said, Seaman 4K in VR. Make it happen. Dreamcast 2 launch title.
Dude, that'd actually be kind of cool.
It would be.
That would be kind of cool.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. Okay, so clearly we have a love of Sega. They kind of got us, a little triggered, but it is what it is. That there's a lot that Sega sits on, like a lot of these old school companies, even Capcom. Like, if we can get like a new Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, I'd love that. Maybe a new Captain Commando,
the Power Stone. That would be
Why don't we have a new Power Stone?
Dude, Power Stone would be like the Smash killer. It would give Smash a major competition if they added Power Stone and had like Sega characters as like Easter eggs, dude. Like it would be insane.
Man, like if I'm correct, I believe Power Stone came first. I believe it came out, 98, right? So basically, you're right. It could give. I think that would be the game to really give Smash Bros. A run for his money because it's go anywhere, grab anything, do whatever. It was the first one to do that.
Yep, and it was 4-player on the Dreamcast because you had the 4 controller ports and you had different power ups. Your character, they got the 3 gems, they could transform, and it's a lot of fun, man. Like I freaking love Power Stone.
Yeah, like if I'm thinking about it correctly, like you've got a lot of companies that come out with Smash Brothers clones trying to capitalize on the multiplayer market, and it's like if Sega were to come back and do Power Stone 3 or just reboot the whole thing, they don't even have to try and emulate. Just take the formula because Power Stone 1 and 2 were solid. Take that formula and just take it to crazier heights. Like some of the stuff that was going on in Power Stone 2 was insane. Just take that to the next level and offer it as a alternative to Smash. I'm just saying.
Amy, they could even be dirty and release it like a PS4 exclusive. They could be dirty like that. Get some competition in there.
They could. They really could. Amy brought up PlayStation All Stars. Amy, why? Why? Oh man!
It's not somewhere Sackboy's crying. Somewhere.
I mean,
poor Sackboy, because Lost Planet 3 wasn't that fun. You had Lost Planet. You had that one fail, and then in the Sony All Stars, I feel so bad for Sackboy. He got sacked, like literally. It's sad.
Oh man, don't even get me started on going off on games that Sony could bring back. Like, where is my Legend of Dragoon 2?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, I really feel like I'm not sure if it's that if these companies are just afraid to take chances on new IPs or just bringing back IPs that were successful in the past to a new audience. I'm not really sure what it is. Like,
I think it's a mixture of things because I know, like personally, with like Sony Studios will have like other companies that will help them develop the games. And I think it's like legal problems sometimes. Maybe they lose rights with certain things. Maybe it's copyright issues and stuff like that. But I mean that's the only thing I can think of. And it's funny, man, because on one spectrum you have people that will complain that Nintendo continually puts out their same IPs over and over again. But here we are talking about other companies wishing they were like Nintendo in that aspect. Yeah. Just a smidge, just a little bit.
I was gonna say, like, thinking of like another franchise. Like, if we were to talk about Capcom, like one thing I'm mad at them about is they put all that money into making Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I don't want that. I didn't want that. I want Capcom versus SNK 3 because if you're really going to cross over two franchises, that's the only one that makes sense. Honestly.
Or just give us a sequel or HD remaster with the online play of Capcom versus Tatsunoko, which was like a great game on the Wii, and it was like such a shame it didn't sell well. And the only reason why it didn't sell well is because it was on the Wii, If it was on PS3 or Xbox 360, it would have been a cult classic, or it would have been more than a cult classic because it already is one.
Very true. So with the Nintendo Switch now being like 1 year old, and I'm completely segueing away from Capcom and Sega because I'm getting mad
We'll,
talking about
we'll
this.
be here all day talking about that.
We would. So with Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch now being like 1 year old and a complete success, or 1 year and a month old, has Nintendo finally struck gold, or are they still not where they should be with the Switch?
I think that's an easy answer. They totally struck gold, man. They've taken low hardware, and they've sold like so much, and they're so popular, YouTubers can't shut up about it. They're really there, and I mean it's gonna be curious to see how the Switch keeps its momentum. Like, I'm not gonna be one of those people that be like, oh, is Nintendo gonna lose, the momentum, or are they gonna fail? It's just gonna be, to me, it's gonna be interesting. Like, where can they go from now? They've completely redeemed themselves from the Wii U. Like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen now? And it's exciting because I mean, like, we already have so much in the future to look forward to, from like the new Metroid to Pokemon. Like, what's going to happen? Are we going to have a new Punch Out? Like, can we have a new Punch Out? That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
What new third party games are going to be coming out? What more companies are going to be putting different ports on the Switch? Because a lot of people are not too thrilled that the Switch has so many ports, but for me personally, as a gamer who doesn't have the time to always sit there and play video games on my television, I like the fact I can take the games anywhere I want. That's the reason why the Switch has become almost my exclusive console when it comes to this current gen.
Yeah. And I know, like, one of my previous guests had brought up before that she feels like because Nintendo is re-releasing games that came out on the Wii U, she feels like, in a way, if you got it on the Wii U, you're kind of getting fucked over. I disagree with that because
I do too. Yeah.
it's like you have to, like, if you're looking at it from a consumer who actually was invested in it, there's two different ways you can take it. Like, hey, I got a game I enjoyed and now it's portable. I can play it wherever, and I can dock it, and I can play it like I did before with more content. Or you could take the approach of, well, I paid for it once and I feel like I got screwed over because a new one came out. And it's like, no, not really. Like, they as a business, if you were really to break down the Wii U games, they were solid. They just did not have the install base to make the sales.
To me, the people who complain that, oh, I bought this on the Wii U and I got screwed, I want to personally ask those people, how many times did you buy freaking Star Wars? You bought Star Wars on VHS. You bought Star Wars on DVD. You bought
Thank
Star
you.
Wars on Blu-ray. What's the difference between that and a game being released on several different platforms that offer something more? Better, polished graphics, polished, gameplay, maybe portability, maybe more DLC. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's not like that's all the Switch has. Now, if
Yeah.
all the Switch had was Wii U ports, to me, who bought a Wii U, I would feel kind of be like, well, there's no point for me getting a Switch because I have everything on the Wii U. But I mean, there's so much coming out for the Switch that the ports are just, a nice little thing that you could dabble into if you want to, you know?
Yeah. Like, Amy, she brought up in the chat, and it's a really, really valid point. She said Wii U ports on a 13 million install base to the Switch made more sense than PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 ports that had a 80 million install base. That, that's a
Exactly.
that's a good point.
Yeah, because I remember when I would get in debates with people about the PS3 remasters on PS4,
Mhm.
like, oh, well, this is for people, that had a 360 that didn't get to enjoy the games. Well, what about the Wii U? The Wii U sold a lot less than the 360. I know
Yeah.
plenty of people that didn't get to play Hyrule Warriors and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Now they can play it Bayonetta 2. It's like, okay, now you can play it.
Yeah, that's so true. Um, And then too, like you're getting more content out of it. Like the Hyrule Warriors. Like if we were to talk about the ports, like if we were to look back, when did Hyrule Warriors come out? It came out 4 years ago. A lot of people didn't play it, even with the 3DS version. They didn't play it on either. And I'm like, why not?
I'm telling you, man, I have to admit I feel kind of ripped off by Nintendo because I bought Super Mario Brothers 3 on the NES and they made the NES classic.
Yeah.
I'm I'm so ripped off. How could they do that?
Oh man, that's I find it funny. People complain about the ports, but they'll buy like sports games every single year that offer nothing new, hardly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that, I mean, you got the choice, you don't have to get it, you know?
Right.
I'm not going to get Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I really enjoyed that game, but there's no reason why I want to get it for the Switch. So I'm just not going to get it.
Yeah.
Boom.
See, I have it. I didn't beat it. I think I played it like once, and then I started playing something else.
That game's fucking hard.
Yeah, the first one was hard as shit.
Yeah, Tropical Freeze is a little bit more forgiving than Donkey Kong Returns. Donkey Kong Returns, man, that was a tough game.
Man, that game. I remember playing it like it was back when I was living in Kirkland, Washington. My ex at the time, like her and I, we were trying to play it together. Man, you know how many arguments we had? Like, why did you jump off the edge? We only had one balloon left. Oh man.
Funny.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, there are games like Osujigli. He brought up like Devil's Third being remastered. I would like to. I never got to play that. I can't find a copy of Devil's Third out here in Hawaii. Like when that game came out, the only thing I saw was people selling it for like $200 because I think it was limited run. But you know, I would love to see that like remaster. I'd love to play that or Wonderful 101, like New Super Mario Bros. U. Super Mario 3D World was. I love 3D World. I think that would
that
be
was
good.
a good game. That was really good.
Yeah, like imagine that on the Switch. That would be awesome. You got 4 Joy-Cons, plop it out. There you go.
Hell, I'd like to have a Pikmin collection on the Switch. That'd be fun.
That would be. Give us 1, 2, and 3 on the Switch. I would be hooked.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Oh man. So what's another exclusive that's coming out for the Switch this year? Octopath, right?
Yep.
So, and this kind of leads into my next question. With how Square has been experimenting with a more modern take on retro JRPGs, do you think that this is due to the general decline of the Final Fantasy franchise since 13, or you could actually technically say since 12? Or are they just kind of like sticking their toe in the water to see if it, you know?
I think Square Enix is very much just trying to experiment. I mean, there's only but so much that Final Fantasy can do. You know, I mean, Final Fantasy 15 was a hit or miss. I liked Final Fantasy 15. I never finished it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad. But I mean, even the Dragon Quest series has started to get more popular than Final Fantasy. You know, it's interesting. I think Square Enix is trying to do something a little different. You know?
I think too, it's like the fact that they've basically thrown the name Final Fantasy on almost everything, and I kind of feel like it's damaged the brand by them doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, because there's just so much Final Fantasy out, and I mean, I'll be honest, and I'll go ahead and tell the folks in the chat about this. I have like, I don't want to say I have like zero hype, but I'm just not that excited about Final Fantasy VII Remake anymore. I'm just gonna like, when it comes out, it comes out. You know, I'm not like going crazy about it anymore. I forget that it's even being made sometimes.
For me, it's like the fact that they're basically taking this into a Kingdom Hearts style system has already got me like, yeah, I don't know if I'm hyped for it. Like,
Yeah.
I want it to be true to the original with like a modern coat of paint, but the fact that it's going to be 3 different parts, all full priced.
I'm surprised they even did it. I never thought Square would have the balls to do it. Like, I always thought that was like that was going to be their trump card if they ever was like losing a bunch of money. They'd be like, remake Final Fantasy VII, because the thing about Final Fantasy VII is like there's 2 different camps. If they would have kept it true and gave it a modern coat of paint, people would have hated on that. If they changed it like they're doing now, people would have hated on it. It's like there's no win on the remake. So I thought it was going to be too ambitious and too like just too much for them to remake it. So I was like, oh, they'll never remake it. They'll never do it.
No, that's a really good point. I mean, they're just yeah, that's kind of alienated a lot of the fan base because I already know I'm in the camp that's just not hyped for it at all. I'm gonna buy it because it's 7, but
yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna play it. It's not gonna quote unquote ruin my childhood, because I hate that term. It's not gonna ruin my childhood because I have Final Fantasy VII on my PS4. I can just play it if I want to go back and play it the way it is, and I can do that. Where I am with remakes, and this goes for games and movies, I feel like when they make remakes, it does have to be different to a certain degree to its original vision, because otherwise, what's the point of remaking it? What's the point of redoing it if you're not going to do something a little different? Sometimes it works better than others. Case in point, Resident Evil on the PlayStation compared to Resident Evil on the GameCube. That was a remake done right.
That was a phenomenal remake. Oh my goodness.
Now everyone in chat's going to talk about Capcom. They're like, yeah.
No, Amy has a serious problem because she just said that she has Final Fantasy VII on PS4, PS1, PS3, PS4, PC, PSP, phone. God damn it.
Yeah, she's even got it on she's even got the Windows version of Final Fantasy VII.
Good God, do you love the game that much? I mean,
Have you seen her? Have you seen her Final Fantasy VII shrine?
I've seen part of it.
Yeah, it's insane. She's even got a Buster Sword. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Freaking Amy. Oh, all right. So I guess we're winding down to like my last 3 questions. So now we're going to talk about the gaming community again, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth if possible. So, what are your thoughts on the toxic nature of the gaming community? Gaming YouTube channels, I know we went to that. If you want, we can skip them. Intolerance in the gaming industry and this new thing about political correctness and political statements in gaming, or inferring like their opinion. I know we delved somewhat on that, but we could just talk about like.
I mean, I think it'd be summed up really quickly. Like, some people just need thick skin and they need to grow up. Pretty much. I mean, people need to understand that when you make a video on YouTube, when you make content, you're in the public eye and you're going to have the public opinion, and not everyone's opinion is going to be stuff that you agree with. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Not everyone's going to, worship the ground you walk on. Mm-hmm. People are going to be assholes. That's life. Not everyone's nice to each other. Not everyone in the community gets along. There's a lot more channels that talk about other channels behind their backs more than they let on. It happens. It's life. So, some people they try to say, like, let's stop the toxicness stuff YouTube, and it's never going to stop, because the human race in general, we're toxic people. That's just the way we are. I'm just being real with that. All I can say is, like, have your friends, enjoy what you're doing. Don't take things too much to heart. And, if you work with someone big, be appreciative that you're working with someone big, but also realize that they're big for a reason. And sometimes they're not good reasons. Sometimes they probably have a couple of knife holes in people's backs. That's just the way it is. But yeah, and with the political correctness, I hate it. I hate the fact that, I love the fact that gaming's become more mainstream and gaming's become the thing that people really enjoy. But I just hate the fact that it's, modern politics and stuff like that has bled onto the stuff that I used to do to get away from it. I used to play video games to get away from the bad shit that was happening, and it sucks that. And maybe I notice it more. Maybe you notice it more too, because we do make content and we do pay attention to the industry. Like, I think if I was this completely ignorant, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but completely ignorant to the industry, like if I just played video games because I loved video games, it wouldn't bother me. But a lot of people that are in the gaming, they don't do that anymore anyway. So, I mean, it just sucks that, a game comes out and no one talks about the game. They talk about, like Wolfenstein 2. Why didn't anyone actually talk about how cool the game was or what was about the game? No, we heard about right and left, conservative and liberal stuff. I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. It's Wolfenstein.
No, you're right. I don't recall hearing one thing about how the game played at all.
Yeah. And it pissed me off. I'm like, what's the game about? Like, is it taking place after this Wolfenstein? Is this going on? And if it's like, no, it was people being like, but this is anti-Trump. This is, and liberals were like, oh, this is speaking to me. And I'm like, have you not played Wolfenstein? They always shoot zombie like Nazis, dude. That's the way it is. Unless you had it on Super Nintendo and they shot rats. But I mean, I hate that, because I can always tell the people that are just into it because it fits their propaganda. And to me, like I said earlier, they're the same people that, years ago would talk about Mortal Kombat being too violent, talk about Pokemon being too satanic, and they just look stupid to people that are actually into the hobby. Unfortunately, there's just so much of it, man. It sucks. It sucks so bad sometimes.
Yeah. I like what Amy said in the chat. She said, speaking of what Xander's talking about, developers are putting too much of their opinion philosophies into games, and it just ruins the experience. Like, keep your ideologies out of my games. I agree. It just, oh man, it really does ruin experiences in games, especially with this whole. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for saying this. I can't stand feminism. Or let me clarify that for people before they go get triggered. I like second wave feminism when they actually want the right to work and have equality and pay and stuff like that. And that's the feminism from like the 60s. Now, I'm talking about this whole feminism shit to where I see people on Twitter post about how women are underrepresented in games. If they're a female streamer, they feel like, they're isolated. We need more women showing up in gaming because there's just not enough of us. We don't feel like there's equality. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was like people when they were talking about, Breath of the Wild, they're, oh great, another game where the damsel's in distress. I'm like, dude, did you play Breath of the Wild? Zelda was badass. Zelda fucking saved Link's life, and she fought Ganon for like 100 years. Like, seriously, she was like more badass. She was badass in Breath of the Wild, dude. And she was badass in Ocarina of Time too.
Yeah.
And Wind Waker. Boom.
Yeah.
We both said that at the same time. Wind Waker.
And it's like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand this whole thing where they're just trying to say, like, they're tired of, they want the women to be front and center, and then they're trying to push the LGBTQ thing into gaming, and it's like, can we just have a game be a game? Not everything needs to reflect what's going on socially in our world right now.
Exactly.
Or not even really in our world. Like, a lot of this shit is kind of like an American only type thing. And gaming's kind of a global thing. And you're trying to push an American agenda on a global product, is kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I mean, it does get aggravating. I mean, political ideology and stuff like that has been in media since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But there was just more of a tasteful way of doing it. Like a good example would be like Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead tackled, what was going on in the 60s with the civil rights movement. It tackled that stuff. Dawn of the Dead tackled capitalism, but they just did it more tastefully. And it was like one of those things that if you were involved in that movement, or if you were involved with the same mindset that person was on, you got it. You guys, it was almost like you guys were looking at each other like, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And everyone else would be like, oh, this is a really good zombie movie. But now it's like, the way things are now, it's like it has to be like out there and like, hey, look at me, I'm doing this. I mean, that was like my nephew was watching one of those cartoons on Cartoon Network, like Gumball. He's watching Gumball, and they were talking about like social justice warriors, like clearly talking about it and talking about privilege and stuff. I'm like, why is this on a cartoon at 7-year-olds? This is just
get them while they're young.
I was just like watching it, and I'm like, man. I mean, I admit I watched very questionable cartoons when I was a kid too. I watched Ren and Stimpy and stuff like that, and Beavis and Butthead. I mean, that's stuff. Yeah, I mean, we watched some pretty messed up things, but I mean, when I was 7 years old, dude, that was the last thing I was thinking about. I was thinking about, why did they kill Optimus Prime in the Transformers movie?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about, who's going to be the new Red Ranger because Jason's not on anymore. What's going to happen to Tommy because he doesn't have the Green Ranger powers anymore because the candle blew out. It's just, I don't like it. Like, I try to purposely plug my ears sometimes when it comes to certain things in industry. And as a content creator, it's really hard because, you want to talk about the stuff, but sometimes it was like, oh, I want to keep it as a hobby. It's crazy.
And it's like, it's getting to a point like you almost can't avoid it. Like, I've seen some of the stuff, like because my two daughters, they're 4 and 5, and some of the stuff that, I'm being made aware of that they're, seeing in school, or their preschool, or that, their mother allows them to watch on TV or exposes them to. And I'm like, at that age, that was not, we didn't get that. Like, you look at the content, like, of the cartoons that we watched. Like, I remember Captain Planet. I remember stuff that were just teaching about friendship and building character. There's always an underlying morality, like a lesson in what we watch. Like, if you watched any of the Disney shows or the Ninja Turtles and whatnot, there was always some sense of character morality building. And now it's just pushing this SJW stuff.
Dude, back then, they were just trying to keep us away from drugs. That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's all they cared about back then. They're like, just you know what? Just don't do crack. You'll be okay.
Right. Yeah, remember all the every time you go to like an arcade machine, you play a game, it's like that message from the FBI director.
Winners don't use drugs.
Right.
While there's like cigarette burns in the cabinet.
Right. Oh man. But yeah, man, I'm just really sick of seeing it. Like even to the extent like I like what they did with Laura Croft in the new Tomb Raider games, but like
Yeah.
the way they portrayed her in the movie, like the Tomb Raider movie is good and all, but I'm like, wow, so because she's got to be a strong, confident woman, they had to pick an actress that's you know, not as attractive as Angelina Jolie just because she's strong and she's a independent feminist woman. Like, come on now, can I, can I at least have some eye candy? Just a little bit.
They just need to make a Tomb Raider movie and have the freaking butler in it, and you can lock him in the freezer.
Exactly.
That'd be the best Tomb Raider movie ever. That could just be the
Yeah.
opening and ending. They just showed Tomb Raider in the mansion, or Laura Croft, I should say, in the mansion. She locks up her butler in the freezer. The end. I'd watch it.
Amy said she'll jump off a bridge before she sees the new Tomb Raider movie. It's good. It's not bad. It's just the feminism shit is just getting on my nerves. It's the same thing that ruined Black Panther for me. The reason I couldn't stand it is because they got way too political with it, with the whole Black Lives Matter and the whole social issues and the white guilt and stuff that they're pushing in almost everything in American media. And it really is like not just games. This shit's just ruining our entertainment experiences as a whole. I feel.
And that's the reason why you had so many people going back to things of the past. That's
Yeah.
why nostalgia is so that's why nostalgia is so big, man, because the world today sucks and we kind of want to go back. But, oh man, you remember when things were simpler,
Yeah.
It's the reason why it's so much more popular now, you know. In some factors. I mean, some of it's also because we're older and we have expendable income and we can afford the things that we couldn't get when we were kids. That's the reason why retro gaming got big.
Yeah. Very, very true. All right. So well, actually, we kind of already talked about that. My next question was going to be like your journey as a content creator slash YouTuber, ups and downs, roundabouts of being on YouTube, finding your voice style, content direction. But I feel like we already hit that one, didn't we?
Yeah, we got that.
Okay. My only other question would be, what is your favorite franchise or gaming franchise, and why?
Man, that's hard. That's really hard. I mean, my go-to would probably be Castlevania. Just because I've always loved the music. I loved like the macabre art style. I like the mythology. If you followed the Igarashi blood Belmont timeline with Igarashi, the way he actually made it all make sense.
Yeah.
I really like that. I'm looking forward to season 2, the Castlevania series on
Oh man,
Netflix.
that's freaking amazing. That series.
That was so good. I'm looking forward to season 2. And yeah, I mean that would probably be my favorite franchise next to like Mega Man. You know,
I'm ready for them to bring back the X series because, well, actually, I'm just ready for them to bring back Mega Man in general. Like, even though I'm not really a big fan of the classic series, I love X. I love all the games in the X series except for X7. That was horse shit.
oh yeah,
Um,
fuck Axel.
oh my god, I can't stand fucking Axel. I couldn't. I beat 7. I 100% 7, and that was the most painful gaming experience of my life. Worse than even Ghosts and Goblins. I'd rather play Ghosts and Goblins than Mega Man X7. That's how horrible that is.
Did you like Mega Man X Command Mission? Did you like that?
I thought it was solid. Like it was pretty basic as an RPG, but I thought it was solid, and it would have been a nice direction for them to take the series because I thought it did really well, and I'm surprised they just kind of one and done it.
Yeah, I mean I enjoyed it. I never got to finish it. I still have it on my PS2. I was actually just looking at it. Um, but I thought it was kind of cool. Very ambitious.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a copy of it. One person I knew borrowed it and then ended up selling it.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, I've really gotten to this point now. Like, I have people that ask me, "Oh, can I borrow this game?" I'm like, "I'm gonna need your driver's license. I need your social security. I need your car keys. Give me your
Yeah,
wallet."
I'm very like the only person that really borrows games from me is like my sister's boyfriend, but we all live in the same house, so their room's like right across from mine. So if he borrows a game, I'm like, all right, I know, at least I know where it's at. The only time I got pissed off is when they borrowed my PS4 controller and forgot to bring it back, and I missed an episode of Dragon Ball Super that night. That pissed me off.
Oh,
Come on. Amy knows what I'm talking about. I was
hey
pissed.
man, at least this didn't happen to you. So I had I had this situation like when I was living with one of my cousin's exes back in college when I moved out of the dorms, and I had like a bunch of my classic games. I had like Yakuza 1, Yakuza 2, Suikoden 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think I had 6 as well. I had Mega Man Legends 1, 2, and Misadventures of Tron Bond, Power Stone 1 and 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2 on the Dreamcast, Street Fighter Double Impact, and Third Strike on the Dreamcast, Power Stone 1 and 2. I had a lot of classic games. And the person's like, "Oh, just where's your game folder?" Because like the CD.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, let me borrow that. I'm just gonna borrow some games." Let the person borrow it. Uh, Came home from school one day. They ended up selling all my games.
Oh God.
All of my games.
Whew. Jeez.
Nearly caught. Nearly caught an assault charge.
I don't blame you on that at all, man.
Beating that bastard's ass for that.
Do not blame you.
And the funny thing is, like, yeah, because they ended up calling the cops and everything, and they put me in the squad car, but the cop was actually a gamer too, and even he was like, "I'm gonna have to let you go because I'm mad for you." I shit you not, man. That was the funniest shit ever. The cop's like, he's like, "I ought to arrest you for being an asshole and selling these great games. Like, what's wrong with you?" And I'm just literally, the cops just going off.
Funny.
It was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Man. All right, so I guess we can do the Q&A section. Since we went through all the questions, and I lost track of time, man. We've been going at this for what, 3 hours?
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize it'd been that long. I looked like, oh shit, it's midnight.
So, also Jiggly has a question. He wants to know, what are Xander's most underappreciated games? Like cool games that get a bad rep. For example, for him, he says Captain America Super Soldier for Xbox 360 is a freaking awesome game that is so underappreciated that no one played.
Oh man, trying to think here. I mean, honestly, I have to say, if you take out the drama and take out the politics and just play it for what it is, Mighty Number 9 is not that bad of a game.
I agree with you.
It's not that bad. A lot of people will tell you it just sucks because, I mean, it was done by a shitty company and shitty developer that we all found out was a bad guy, Keiji Mifune. But I'm trying to think of some other games that I just felt like just get a bad rap. I mean, Castlevania 2, a lot of people shit on Castlevania 2 because of the angry video game nerd, but that was actually not that bad of a game. I mean, me too, we wouldn't have Bloody Tears. It's like one of the best tracks ever.
And it basically it took the Metroid formula to a new height.
Yeah. I mean, like we wouldn't have, Symphony in the Night if it wasn't for Castlevania 2.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty much what style kind of inspired that. So that would be definitely one of them. I'm trying to think of some other games that I enjoyed that did Street Fighter 5. Fucking love Street Fighter 5. A lot of people will tell you that, you know, the game sucks because it doesn't have an arcade mode. Like, sorry, I like to play with people online. You know.
You know, the amazing thing about Street Fighter, which I find interesting about the Street Fighter audience, is they say just about every Street Fighter game that comes out is crappy when it's out. I've noticed that. Like, I remember when Street Fighter Alpha came out, a lot of people didn't care about that. They said it was crappy, and that was because the 3D fighters were coming out. They said the same thing about Street Fighter EX, the 1 and 2, which EX 1 and 2 were great. 3 was shitty.
Yeah.
You know, they were great, and people talk crap about that. I remember when Street Fighter 3 New Generation came out, and people didn't care. They hated it because don't everyone else is new. The only returning people are Ryu and Ken, and because of that, Capcom. Because remember that I think they weren't gonna put Ryu and Ken in it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and people crapped on that. They crapped on Street Fighter 4 when it came out. They crapped on the success of the 4 series. You know, Super Arcade Edition and what was the other one? Ultra. They are crapping on 5, and it's like the Street Fighter audience is kind of, you got those of us who love it, and then those who just want to complain because it's a popular thing to do. And I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I remember people complained about Street Fighter 3 because Ryu's feet were so big.
I remember that too.
Like, dude, his feet are fucking huge, man. Like, really?
Oh my god. I miss the days of arcade games when it was about trash talking and skill. Like the fact that fighting games now come out and there's hype behind it, and then it just dies. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite died. Street Fighter 5 was the only consistent fighting game. Even I mean, Dead or Alive 3 or no, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, which I thought was a really good 3D fighter. It did not have as much support, and that game ran from 2012 up until still actually running till now. There's a lot of support behind that, and it's the people just don't get behind it. King of Fighters 14 came out 2 years ago. No one's ever playing that game online. And it's just, I hate saying it, but I really feel like fighting games like brawlers are just dead.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't have like a short supply of them coming out, but unless it's like unless you're like really involved in like an online community, it doesn't last that long. You know, that's what sucks. That's why sometimes as much as I love fighters, sometimes like I feel like if I don't buy the game day one, then it takes a lot for me to actually go out and buy it. Because I mean, it's like right now, I never got a chance to get Dragon Ball Z Fighters. I never got it, and I'm like, well, shit. Yeah, I was like, dude, if I get it now, it's probably not. I'm probably not going to be able to play with people online.
Yeah, I loaded up the other day. It's a ghost town. I found one match in 3 hours.
Shit.
That's how bad it is. I mean, Amy has it. She never plays with me. Oh man. Amy's question is to Mekel, why are you here live streaming when you have like 500 game backlog for review? And for Xander, do you feel bad for making me play Lords of Shadows 2?
Oh God. Yeah, I feel, dude. Okay, I got to tell the story about Lords of Shadows too.
Story time.
Okay, because like I actually really did like Lords of Shadow. Like I thought it was good.
Oh yeah, the first one, yes, definitely. Oh,
Lord of Shadows. I remember she was telling me that she had like, I think she had got like birthday money. No, it wasn't because it didn't.
I think your mic got unplugged again.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
All right, you're
Okay.
back.
But no, like she had gotten some money from like her grandparent or something like that. She got some money and she was like, "What kind of game should I get?" And I remember, I believe she got South Park Stick of Truth, and she was like, "Well, I got enough to get another game." And I'm like, "Dude, you should get Lord of Shadows too." I was like, "I just got it. I haven't had a chance to play it because I was working out of town." I was like, "I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but you should just get that because the first one was awesome." She's like, "Yeah, I agree. The first one was good." So she got it, and I remember I was working that night, and she was texting me, and she was just like, "Why did you make me get this game? This game is horrible." And I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "I this is terrible." Because I hyped it up so much. I was like telling her the story and about how it's going to be different because I beat Mirrors of Fate. And I was like, well, this is what happened in Mirrors of Fate. And, this is going to happen in this one. And it was bad. It was really bad.
And I think it's because Kojima, he worked on the original one and Mirrors of Fate, and you could tell like the quality in two was just piss poor.
And also, they were just trying to do way too much in the second one. They were trying to add elements of like Assassin's Creed and stealth. And I'm like, dude, there's no stealth in Castlevania. Come on.
Yeah,
I want to like whip a freaking wall and get a piece of chicken.
dude, I'm mad at the ending where it's like, okay, we defeat Satan, and we just walk off. What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so she said, question for both of you. Same question. What is the one kitty or girly type of game that you guys have played that you really actually liked?
Oh, that one's easy for me. Freaking Little Mermaid on Sega Genesis. Such a good game. It's the same guys that went off to create Earthworm Jim.
Hmm.
That's a good game.
I guess for me, so she said kitty or girly type of game. Uh, I want to say Valis 3 on the Sega Genesis, but I don't know if that counts as a kitty or girly type of game, even though it's a girly anime-ish type game.
I was like, I don't know if that counts.
I
That's
don't
a good
think
game though. That is a good game.
I don't think it does count. I guess kitty game you could say don't judge me.
I was
Don't
like, just name a Nintendo title since Nintendo makes all kitty games anyway.
I was gonna say that one I was a kid, Amy, so don't judge me. I better not see memes, gifs, any quotations ever of me saying this. And I'm gonna say it because now I'm getting heated. Okay. I was 7 years old, and then for whatever reason, my mom just gave me this Barbie um horse simulator riding game. Okay, and I thought it was cool. And I had nothing else to play, so I found the positive in it, and I enjoyed it. Okay, don't judge me. I don't want to hear anything
Oh,
else, Amy.
dude, my co-host on XS Gaming, apparently there's like some Barbie game on the Game Boy Color, and he's like, dude, that's actually a legit good game. The Barbie on the Game Boy Color is good. I'm like, really now?
Oh man.
I will say a game that you should check out, and the listeners should check out as well. On the PS2, Kim Possible on PS2.
Really?
That's a really good game. Yeah, it's like a running gun. It's awesome.
Oh. See. Hey, I told y'all in the chat, shut up. I don't ever want to hear this again, okay? Better not see nothing. I'll disavow it, okay? Oh god. Okay, so another question is, God, Amy, you got okay. So she says, I'll add one more. If there was one franchise from Nintendo that you wanted to cross over with another known franchise that's not a fighting game, what would it be? Both to Xander and Mekel.
I think I answered mine earlier. I still would like to see Alex Kidd in the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah. Like that would be awesome to see Alex Kidd come back and he's, punching Goombas in the face and playing rock, paper, scissors with Koopas. I'd like that.
Okay. So if it has to be one franchise from Nintendo, crossover with another known franchise. The only thing I can think of would be crossing over Legend of Zelda with Landstalker, the Treasures of King Noel.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Here's a good one. Cooking Mama crossover with Resident Evil.
How would that even work?
I don't know. Just be a thing.
Yo, you see what's on Twitter? Fucking Amy.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Oh my god. Really, Amy? You had to do that?
She's fast.
She's savage. Oh my goodness. Oh.
That's great.
Oh my god. Okay, so Osa Jiggly has a question. Xander, what are your thoughts on Shenmue 3? Are you hyped?
I didn't back it on Kickstarter. I am hyped. I'm not the biggest Shenmue fan. I mean, I love Shenmue, don't get me wrong. I'm just glad it's finally coming out. I'm not like losing sleep wanting to play it, but I will be getting it day one. Definitely.
Damn me. Oh, I still need to play 1 and 2. I haven't.
Well, this is what you do, man. This will help you. So you watch the quote unquote Shenmue movie that came with the original Shenmue 2 on Xbox. It came with a DVD that showed you like everything you need to know about Shenmue. So then you watch that and then you play Shenmue 2 because Shenmue 1 really has not aged well. Shenmue 2 is like a little better, but in my opinion, like maybe I'm tainted from playing the Yakuza series, but Shenmue games have just not aged that well for what they are now anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely if they would add in like I would love for them to do like a remaster of it and use the Yakuza 0 engine.
I was about to say I thought you were about to say you wanted to get a remaster and they used the actual analog stick because that's what killed me. Playing on the Dreamcast and you couldn't use the analog to move around, you used the D-pad. Oh, dude, that was like that tells you how much that game has aged. The first Shenmue, you had to use a D-pad to move around with tank controls.
Also, Jiggly said, "Nah, don't do that. Shenmue 1 is great." Oh man, I guess that's all the questions, man. Yeah, anything else you want to add or say?
Freaking Barbie. That's all I'm going to think about now.
Amy did say you want to play some Peach Beach Splash. I don't know what that is.
Well, but I do want to play that one game that's got the anime chicks with the super soakers. Like, I do want to play that game.
Is that Senran Kagu?
Yeah.
Wow! Freaking Amy put my face on the freaking picture.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh, man. Okay, I'm gonna have to show this so people can laugh about this.
Do it.
Trying to get the webcam like going right there. It goes. Look.
God damn you, Amy.
That should be your thumbnail.
It should be. Oh man. Oh man. I got nothing else.
That's great. That was great.
Man. All right, man. That's just about all the questions I have for you. Before I get savagely just, taken down to the point I'm gonna need a therapist if Amy keeps going. That's all I have for you. You have anything else you want to add in, man?
That's it. I mean, mostly, of course, I'll say if you guys that are watching and listening, if you guys do want to check out my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/Xander Skullion. And I do want to say that my channel right now is on temporary hiatus just because I'm packing. I'm going to be moving, and I'm going to be moving in like 10 days, and then I'm getting all settled, and then I'll start uploading videos. And yeah, youtube.com/Xander Skullion is my YouTube channel. And you can also listen to my podcast, Access Gaming Podcast. And it's on a playlist on my channel, and it's also on iTunes and podomatic.com. So, yep.
All right. Sounds good. And aside from YouTube, where else can they find you?
They could find me in most Mexican restaurants eating chorizo and eggs. But no, they can find me in like Facebook, Twitter. Twitter's a good place to find me.
They don't need to add tapatio to your egg.
But yeah, Twitter, Access Gaming Podcast on Twitter. That's it. I think that's it.
All right. And guys, I left links to all of Xander's his YouTube and his Twitter all down in the description below. So if you guys want to definitely go over and give the man a subscribe, follow him on Twitter. I don't know about Amy though; she might troll you really bad. I don't think I'm ever going to leave this out.
It's going to keep going in Discord. I bet you.
I bet it is.
It's going to bleed through.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching this episode of the Kasanova podcast. I had a really good time with my guest, Xander Skullion of XS Gaming Podcast. And yeah, we'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya.
See you guys.